We're
Okay.
live. We're gonna let folks filter on in.
Check.
Let me get chat up. I would say
All right.
also, Mike, if you want to pop the Twitch chat open on your side so you can see the questions
Yeah.
too. Um,
Yeah. I've got it open, but I've got something in front of it now. So let's see what I've got. Let's see if I can turn this off. I'm going to refresh it.
yep,
Let's see.
no problem. But we
Okay. There
are
we go.
live.
So yeah, I've got it's going to freak me out because I'm on a slight delay, of course. Over here on the Zoom, I'm live. Over here, I'm like, my head's moving like half a second faster and everything's freaking me out.
You can hide. Can you hide the player or no? Does it let you hide the player?
Maybe. I have no idea, man. I've never done Twitch before.
Well, we're
Yeah.
all we're all learning. You know, you're teaching me code, and I'm teaching you how to Twitch.
Hello, FL Rancho.
What's up, Rancho? I gotta start making my list for credits. Give me a sec.
It's Old Whisper.
Whisper. All right, first time chatter.
First time chatter, long time player. Welcome, Old Whisper. We're sponsored tonight by, I think, Landshark and Negro Modelo. Is that it?
There we go. Modelo and Landshark. Buy one, get one at Winn Dixie.
Ah,
That's
nice.
that's the only reason I got it.
Let me see if I can figure out how to. I'm going to try to move these onto the same side of the screen so I can see the chat. Ah, that's a little better because I'm a lot. If you narrow down this, oh, no, I lost the chat there when I do that. Okay, yeah, I'd love to be able to hide my free. Ah, this is going to work. Okay, so I'm going to hide it behind our Zoom chat. There we go. Perfect.
Mike's figuring out how
Hello,
to
boys. Hello,
Twitch.
spin round.
We got Spin, we got Vision,
Right
we
round,
got
baby.
Cody, we
Like a
got.
record.
There's Skip. What's up,
Hello,
Skip?
Skippy. How are you, buddy? So yeah, we're getting some people in here.
Yeah, we're gonna give him a few minutes to kind of filter in. There's Bazals.
Biz Bizalls. All
We
right.
got Maddie.
Ship
Chips
for you to
for
see.
you to. That's Maddie.
Okay, so
Frank, are you allowed to drink tonight with upper management? Oh yeah. Listen,
there's
upper management has actually he
yeah,
imposes sanctions on
yeah,
me
it's
if I don't drink.
yeah, it's yeah, you're gonna get me like in trouble with like some union. So yeah, that's not true at all. He's drinking of his own free will. Nothing is being forced upon him, I promise.
It's not true. It's not true. I need help, guys. That's why I do the OnlyFans after this.
Yeah. I'm a paying member. Yeah, if you have any money, guys, that you're looking to spend, best OnlyFans channel going, Frank over on
That's right.
OnlyFans.
Come watch me do a handstand. I'll have my thong on tonight. We got
Fantastic.
let's see. Super
Super Taffy,
Taffy. We got Amir.
old
What's up,
timer.
Amir?
Yeah,
Amir
there's
coming
Amir.
in, waking up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning his time.
Yeah,
That's
much
dedication.
appreciated.
That's dedication right there. Either that or he
Mhm.
wants credits. One of the two.
We can make that happen. So we can make that happen. Yeah, Super
Padre.
Taffy. I would have to look, but I would guess. I know she's one of the longest time players around. I know Liam is the oldest, or when I say the oldest, Liam was literally, I think, had a user number before mine because when I had people sign up, he and Sinkhall, and there were 9 signups, and I was 2 of them. So I was Bill Gulch and Test Case, and Liam and Sinkhall and Rock 63. I don't know if he still plays. I know he'll come in and out sporadically. He's in. So I know those were like 5 of the first 9 accounts. So Liam,
Damn.
yeah.
Damn. We got what's up,
Yeah.
Padre?
So yes,
Um,
Seville Kirk. We've got Super Taffy.
there's
If I miss
Nets.
you, people, I'm not ignoring you. I'm old and slow, and this is my first Twitch stream, so I apologize.
Yeah, we're just winging it too, guys. There's no agenda here tonight, so we're gonna rely on y'all to tell us what to talk
Yeah,
about. And I imagine Mike's gonna probably do more talking than me, so you just pretty much watch me drink.
fair enough. Now it. I guess as far as everything goes, I'll at least let people know. I know you've been doing a great job. First off, I want to thank Frank. I'm not going to sit here and turn this into the back patting society, but I really do appreciate the work he's been doing. It's helped me out a lot. Uh, Obviously, been busy. The older you get, and the uh, things just slow down a little bit, doing a lot of stuff, and just work, etc. So he's really helped pick up some of the pieces that I was too lazy, I guess, or too tired to pick up. But long story short is I have been working on the back end quite a bit, so we can talk about some of that. Just why we focus on what we're focusing on right now. I know Frank's told you all that stuff, so it's going to be somewhat repetitive, but hey, there we go.
Sorry, did you say something, Mike? I'm just kidding, dude. You're good.
I thought I was on mute. I was
Oh,
like,
I
oh,
know.
what's
I'm
gonna
gonna
happen?
fuck with you. So, especially since
That's
when we
fair.
were testing, it was messing with you.
So yeah.
We
So as
got
far as
dragged
everything
over.
else goes, yeah, I'll at least explain what I'm doing at the moment, coding wise. The last little bit of coding that I've done, particularly, has been I'm trying to rewrite. And when I say rewrite, that's a misnomer. I'm trying to take the old race code and pretty much duplicate it from an old VB Visual Basic 12, and I'm trying to rewrite it in Python. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them being is that we have a computer that literally the old Visual Basic does not. I've tried to install it on a couple of machines lately because, as you guys know, we changed servers within the last few months. And part of that, I had a contract on that old server, so I was going to keep it for a little while. And you guys remember the CPU 1 and 2 that we used to have. I was going to turn that into CPU 2 for a while. But when I tried to install Visual Basic on it, it wouldn't let me. So we are literally running on a machine right now that if it goes down, we're going to have problems, which is why I am trying to rewrite everything that's in Visual Basic and make sure that it ends up in Python in case that machine goes down. Otherwise, I'm going to have to try to find one of my old machines in the house that still has Visual Basic installed on it and try to run the game from the house again, which is suboptimal. As you guys remember a few years ago when Nashville downtown uh, kind of had a bomb go off in it, a literal bomb, and we were down for 3 days.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got who else? We had a few more join. Sam joined in. We got looks like Kevin joined
Mm.
in. Let me make sure I got my list updated because if I don't update that, I'd be in trouble. There was next. I think I said next. Rob, yeah, we got Croft is there. Super Taffy. All right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the focus that we have right now is the Python code, and
Mm-hmm.
un- not unfortunately, but fortunately, Mike is kind of shouldering that load right now. I'm kind of just doing more of the front end stuff and handling things as they come
Yeah.
up. So we're hopefully making good progress. Well, we are making good progress, not hopefully, but
Yeah.
what
And
else?
obviously the hard part with that, just to let everybody know, is that I've promised you guys, as far as the goal of this quote unquote code rewrite in Python is not to make any changes. If I do this right, literally it's going to produce the exact same results as the Visual Basic code. I could explain the nuances to you, but I'm actually trapping the random numbers from the Visual Basic code, and I'm going to use those same random numbers in the Python code, pseudo random numbers at that point, and make sure that the all the formulas we're going to run hundreds, if not thousands, of iterations to make sure that those two code bases match before I release it. So it's not going to be something I'm not trying to make any changes. We may make changes, or at least I will do auditing as I'm going along and make sure that the code does, what we want it to. I know in the past people like, I don't like this part of the code, or you need to look at this part of the code. I'm going to look at it. It's been running for 25 years. I'm sure it's not perfect, but it's, it is what it is at this point. So I would not make any wholesale changes to it. That's not the goal. I promise you.
We lost Croft. Croft said we lost him at code, but we're going to talk about some more fun stuff here, and as we kind of roll into this, but we just want to kind of let you guys know where the focus is. I know we've gone over it a few different times. Like we said,
Yeah.
architecture is the key here, right? We want to make sure that everything is a-okay so that we can continue to run this, and hopefully the goal is at some point to get fully automated, to where neither one of us really have to be involved
Yeah.
at all. Maybe we click a button here and there,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of it is like that now. That's the good news. There's still some of it that obviously, stuff we want to improve, but, infrastructure, it's the unsexy, dirty little secret is that, it's gotta work. And some of that is like, your car, it can look as pretty as you want, but if you got a hamster wheel and then, trying to run a car, it's not going to work. So we've got the engine rebuilt. I did a lot of that uh, when I quit my real world job for a while and incurred quite a bit of debt, but that's okay because I'm back to contracting. But yeah, we I rewrote a lot of the back end then. As far as I moved everything out of my home into the cloud except for the Visual Basic Code, which is still in the cloud. But long and short of it is that the infrastructure is solid. It's better now. It gets better all the time, and this is going to be the last piece. It's going to allow us to start adding more things to the game again as we go along.
Yeah, and this will lead us to basically, website rewrite and that whole deal. And get in a lot of the features that everybody's been asking for, as Mike is very well familiar with me hounding the shit out of him recently with, hey, can we add this? Hey, can we add this? Hey, can we add this? So it's we're well aware. I mean, the goal here is basically to make a much, much more functional website in the sense that we give more options. We allow you to filter on different data fields, and it sounds like my wife and my son are going to kill each other. I'll be right back. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem. So yeah, just again, like expand on what Frank's saying with the new website. A part of the, the old website I wrote back in 2012. That was kind of like me learning JavaScript, etc. Me learning a lot of database code, and ultimately, there were things that I needed to get it up. I don't know if anybody remembers we were close to 1 million races on the old code, and the old code I never planned on having 1 million races, which was kind of it was going to be a hard stop. So at that point, I had to get it up quick. There were things about it I didn't think I did as well as I could have. I would have loved to have made it more phone friendly. I would have loved to have added some other functionality. But as we try to rewrite it, I know Sledge 4 has offered to help a lot with that. And he and I did a lot of work early on, and hopefully we'll be able to leverage a lot of that. So let me see. I'm going to go to the chat. Auto entry, you'll have to explain that one to me, because I don't know what you're saying there. But I mean, I know technically, but let's see. If you do add notes to the horse's page, have it change color in the text. Oh, like you're talking about change the color of the pencil. Yeah, Frank, let me know that one. I won't promise that it's easy. I think it is. I don't think that's it's very much similar to the way the barn changes color, because if you remember, the barn used to not change color. I believe that I'll have to look at the code. That may be one that I can add quickly. And again, like Frank said, is that I don't want to put a lot of time writing things into the old site that take a lot of time, because if we all do this well, the site you see now, the online website, it will be completely obsolete. It will be gone. We'll replace it with something better. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But this, like I said, with the farm changing color, that was easy. I'm about 98% sure that the note changing color would be just as easy. So, remind Frank, if I don't address it, or he doesn't address it within the next week, remind Frank and say, hey, did Mike look into that? Because I'll look into it for you. I don't think it's that difficult. We're all looking for is jockey feedback. Yes, jockey feedback is definitely going to be coming. That is a definite. That will be the new version of the game, though. That is going to be the new website. Again, that's one of those where that's a lot of the information is already there. I'll put it that way. As far as when you tell the horse to run a certain way, and the game knows how the horse needs to run. And that's going to be one of those where with the jockey feedback, it'll definitely be able to give you some insight based on those numbers. So I think even if it starts out as a very simple jockey feedback first and we expand it over time, but that is one that's going to have to wait, because that is going to be new interfaces and things. And we're trying to avoid adding any new interfaces to the current version. Let's see. Mike, can you bring back Flying Spur? Asking for a friend. If he's dead in real life, he ain't coming back. Or if he's retired in real life, he ain't coming back. I'm sorry. But if he's not, and I didn't kick him out of the game because I've got a personal problem with him. So.
Oh no, Robbie, I gotta. It's my wife keeps this house cold, man. I gotta. Usually I'm in full sweats. I just can't go outside in them. That's all. So the joke is that Flying Spur is not active, right? Like that's he's not active anymore.
I don't think he is,
but not, I mean in real life, like he's not active in real life. Because I pretty much have been dismissing it like he's not. So
I don't think he is. I think he may be dead, but maybe he's just pensioned. I mean, that's the thing too. Is I know, and that's what Frank was talking about last stream, and I just not to hammer it home, but yeah, any information you guys have that you can add to that wiki, fantastic. Because I know I miss things. We do everything we can to raid. It's going to be great to have Frank. I appreciate you guys sending me the letters, or the letters like I'm living in 1973, the emails about updates, etc. And that's fantastic, and I do appreciate it. but we're trying to move slowly or quickly to that wiki and give us information about horses, give us any information that updates and changes. Go ahead and throw it in there, and it's going to be useful to us at the end of the year. And ultimately, what we'd like to do, and I can't remember if Frank mentioned this, we would love to use that information, to make sure we get everything right. It's going to make our information, it's going to make the game information better. But as that information database populates itself, it will give the users kind of like a feeling of this is what the user base rates this horse. And honestly, you guys, it's kind of a swarm logic. You guys are going to be better at rating. If 100 of you guys put in a rating, even if a few of them are off, we can account for that if people are trying to just gimmick it. But by and large, you guys are going to give us a lot better rating, and then we can look at your ratings, go, yeah, maybe we missed that horse, so let's revisit that horse. I've underrated, overrated horses in the past, and it's not that I want to. I really don't. I'd love to give you a perfect rating, but it's not the easiest thing to do.
Damn near impossible, to be honest. It's your best guess. So if we have a lot of guesses, it allows us to kind of aggregate it a bit. We got Jono says, I love trolling around Flying Spur. It was fun banter in the old days, especially with Scoobs. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, he's coming back, Jono. We got Docman. Welcome to the chat. At Stud, at Arrowfield Stud, Australia, shuttle to Ireland.
Yeah, he did die in 2018. It's been a minute then.
Yeah, I'm not a huge flying spur aficionado, so I don't know all his details.
And I tried. I mean, I honestly tried. At the end of the year, I try to really catch up with the Australian sires, but I forget. It's just honestly, I try to honestly rate them as fairly as possible. I try to, honestly, they may be a little overrated. And when I say that overrated, I probably rate them a little higher because I want to make sure that they are rated well enough in the game. And if I had, I want to be fair to everybody. And they're not used as much in the game. So, yeah. But long story short is I know in the game we've seen some good Australian sires do things, and I think they're pretty fairly rated. But yeah, at the end of the year, I try to catch up and really catch that, because that's when I do most of my re-rating. So yeah, but I don't remember when horses die. If a horse gets pensioned or dies, he like falls off my radar like he never existed, because I'm like, he's set in stone. I've got thousands of other horses to worry about.
Yep. Says Rob says, keep doing what you're doing with this game. If I hate it, then it's great and it works. Yeah, this is coming from the guy with, if you run the ratings right now, he's number one in the ratings, in the player ratings for stakes for players who have run at least 100 times. So there you go. That's the guy to knock off the pedestal.
Yeah, as far as dam sires, rating dam sires, honestly, it's almost a 1-for-1 with the sire. I'd love to sit here and tell you that I can dig in dam sires and get it right, but ultimately what it comes down to is this, and we know this even about dams, is that if you, and sires in general, if you give a bad sire good dams, he's going to look better. If you give a good sire bad dams, he's going to look better, or he's going to look worse than he is in real life. When you start getting to dam sires, there are so many. It's kind of like reversing the polarity of trying to go with sires, because the sires generally, when dams come in, there's a belief by the person sending the dam that this horse is this good, and I'm going to send it this level of dam. It's kind of reversed, because once you start getting the dam sires, you have horses that are one generation removed. So you'll see a horse like a Tappet who may have honestly just a shitty dam, and it gets sent to some, third string sire somewhere, which has a decent pedigree, but didn't run well, and maybe it's $5,000. So it's kind of hard to get a really fair, I could sit here and lie to you, but first off, getting that information is hard. There's a lot of it. And even with the percent of information, it's really hard to get, if you were like Desperado, you could probably have all that information at your fingertips. We don't have that. To be on the safe side, we keep it almost 1-to-1, unless there's a really good reason. I'm not going to start rating a dam sire higher than his sire rating. His dam sire rating higher than the sire rating.
Padre says, are sire and DS sire shares always going to stay connected together on one ticker?
Probably. Again, that's going to be something more, if at least for the time being. At the time being, is everything's going to be very similar, because we do want infrastructure first. Then we'll get the website rewritten, and then we can really start adding and changing things. Ultimately, we will probably change the way some of the cost structure goes, and we'll definitely look at it then. As far as, are they going to be on the same ticker? I don't remember why I did it that way. I honestly don't. I had a reason for sticking them together. I think it was just, I think what it was is just the volatility of like it. I honestly don't remember. I'd love to tell you, Bree, why I did that. It was a decision I made 11 years ago that seemed to make sense at the time. I'm not saying it makes sense. So yeah, I'll definitely we'll keep that in mind because yeah, once we get to that point, things like that, everything will be on the table. So I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying no. We'll
I
put
think
it that way.
we missed one question. It says,
Okay, sorry about that. My bad.
well, I missed it, but Dragnell asked, "How do we approach rating dam sires?" Just fill in
Yeah,
as if rating a sire, or maybe you did answer
yeah,
that. Maybe I
yeah. I
came in on the
did.
tail end of that. Okay,
I did.
well, I'm sorry, my bad. Then we're good.
No, it's all right.
Keep it rolling. Let's see. Taffy said, "I'm
You
surprised
know
in
what
real
time it
life
is, baby.
how many
I,
Dias are what I wouldn't consider good sires." Yeah, no, I mean, I can't think of anything offhand, Taffy, but I remember isn't I mean, Scat Daddy's been pretty good on both sides of it, right? He's a pretty good. I mean, I know he's a good sire. I'm pretty sure
who's
he's
that?
a
You're breaking up for me a little bit. Sorry, it may have just
Scat.
been me.
I think it's pretty
Now
good.
I'm getting no audio from you, Frank. Did you hit
Uh-oh.
something?
Can
Oh,
y'all hear me? Is
there you go.
that
He's
better?
back. A little better.
Scat Daddy is who I was talking about. I was saying that he was good on both sides, right? He was good as a sire. He was good as a dam
Yeah.
sire. I can't really think of an example of
Most
the
horses are. I
opposite.
mean, it's quality's quality. There.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are exceptions, and I'm sure people a lot better versed in pedigree would probably shit all over my opinions, and that's fine. But at the same time, I'm
Well, that's why we
we're
got them
we're working
submitting
on.
the information on the wiki
Yeah, submit the information.
so they can
But
shit all over our opinions.
but yeah, it really is kind of I've always approached the game as it's a simulation, but it's also a game. And if you remember, even early on, I used to do things that were overly complicated for the sake of being complicated, and it just added weight to the game that didn't need to be there. I'll give you a perfect example: is the travel cost. When it used to be a matter of it used to cost a different amount to go from Kentucky to Indiana than it would Kentucky to Florida, for instance. I think right now those are the same, but previously they were a different cost. And the reason was I was trying to be quote unquote hyper realistic, and early on I added betting, and I know betting, there's to talk about betting coming back, and we can talk why I won't say it's a bad idea, but been a non-starter for years. I tried to add things for quote unquote realism that just didn't, it just added weight to the game. It added complexity. It added, I mean, we want to play for fun. At the end of the day, most people want to get some enjoyment out of this, and when it gets too complicated, and things like a dam sire and sire being too far apart, or you don't want to. First off, I'm not sure that they are ever. I'm sure there's some, like, again, pedigree people, but by and large, I want people to know this sire is about this good. No matter where you use him in the pedigree. So it's kind of I want you guys to enjoy the game. I don't want you to go to sleep worried about, not that you'd be worried, but I don't want things to be overweighty. I mean, it does have to be fun at the end of the day. So that's kind of part of my logic there too.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. Vision or Jono asks, Mike, I have a question. Is there anything that can be done about the exchange rate Australian to USD? Effectively, Aussies pay more for the same thing than American players do.
You know what? I wish there was. I mean, this is one of those. If I start doing that, first off, I don't have a good way to do that exchange rate. I mean, as far as 1-to-1, I would have to like have a 4x or something that would flip it around and like try to keep track of it and give you all track of, give you all extra money. Secondly, I know the first thing's going to happen, and I'll be 100% honest with you. I had a guy reach out to me about, he was saying he lived one place and he didn't. He was saying I get a bad exchange rate, and I followed his IP address, and I realized he was another player. He was living in the United States. He wanted a good exchange rate, and his question, this was early on in the game, and I was like, you're going to have people, you already see people, and it's not, nobody personal, nobody in here necessarily. But, some people will take every avenue to get an advantage in any game they play, not just this game. And if you start allowing that, it's hard enough for me to police what's there. It's hard enough for Frank to police what's there. It's going to be hard to track down where people live. And then next thing I know, I'm going to hear, well, so and so says they're in this place so they can get a better exchange rate. You know what? We get enough headaches already. It's just one of those that I'd love to, and I do sympathize. I really do. It's not something that I'm trying to poop on it. I'm really not, and I really do understand it's difficult, but it's just hard to do. It's almost impossible to do. I mean, we're not the only game that struggles with that, I'd say.
No, I mean that's it. It happens pretty much across the board. It's not something new to us. It's just it's an unfortunate part of running an online game.
Not only just running an online game, it's really an unfortunate part of, just consumerism and
right, the human race.
finance in the world. I mean, like I went to, and I thank Frank because I actually got to spend a couple weeks recently in Europe, and I went to Italy, which was fantastic. Which the euro is like 1.1. It's $1.1 is 1 euro, but when we went to Great Britain. We went to London, I guess, technically. And, it's 1.25. So, I'm spending $10 there. I'm really spending, I'm spending 10 Great Britain pounds or whatever it is. And, I'm really spending 12 US dollars, 12 and a half US dollars. So, I mean, that exchange rate, even when you're on vacation, it bites you in the rump. So it's just part of.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and again, there's not that we work around it or anything like that because we really don't have the capability to do it anyway with the current vendor that takes care of it or what have you. But it's still it sucks for lack of a better way of explaining it.
I sympathize. I really am not sitting here trying to downplay the unfortunate aspect of it, but I always say things about like situations like that is that if that's a problem we could solve, we're probably wasting our time. Or let me rephrase that: we're not wasting our time with the horse racing game because I love it, but I could be making a whole lot more money than contracting for a healthcare company, writing code that could solve solutions that complicated, because it's definitely nuanced and it's tricky, and and it's easy to solve in theory, but in practice, it's tough.
So we're gonna move on to the next question. It's Sam asked, is it an aberration when some are good as a sire but underwhelming as a DS?
Yeah, I would say this based on the code, based on the logic, yes. And when you say it's an aberration, it's I'll give the best example in the game that we've ever seen is Tenino Gimlet, who, won 2 derbies. He was not rated to win 2 derbies, but he had a good year. He won 1 derby, and then next thing you knew, everybody was firing up Tenino Gimlet like he was the best thing since sliced bread. He was not rated as well as he was being used, but when you start crossing horses in the game, you're crossing them with other pedigrees. So if you put Tenino Gimlet and you cross him with, as Larry loves to use it, if you cross him with Texas by Truck, which is pretty much just taking like a Rhodes or a Cat's Debut and putting him, of course you're going to get a crappy horse on the general. If you take him and cross him with the Storm Cat and a Northern Dancer, then you're going to get a whole lot better horse. And I think that's where you see a lot of discrepancies in the game. And as well as, I can't remember who it is. It might be Lenny, but or I can't remember who it was. But somebody used to use Statue of Liberty with some of their best sires or some of their best dams, and it made Statue of Liberty look better in the game than he was in real life. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you start using a sire with better sires, he's going to look better if he doesn't get that kind of support. And you'll see that with a lot. There's some horses in the game that are rated higher than you would know, but they don't get any support.
And
when they don't get support and they only get the lower level support, they are going to look worse. And there's, as other than, giving you guys the sire ratings, which, one day I'm not necessarily against. I mean, technically, I know it sounds like that would be giving away the sauce, but I don't really believe that. By and large, you guys know what sire ratings are anyway. I don't think there's some where you might be a little surprised, but hopefully I wouldn't give you anything that would just absolutely shock you. The ratings are what they are, and we try to base them on real life. The early year ratings, when horses first come into the game, of course, there's a guess. What I do there is I try to gauge, particularly one of the big driving costs is what farm did they go to? What's the cost? Things like that. How much do they cost? Because when somebody sets a sire for $50,000, generally they think they're going to be able to fill a full book at $50,000. If they couldn't fill a full book at $50,000, they put them at $25,000. If they didn't think they could fill a full book at 25, they put them at 10. That's their livelihood. They know a lot better than I do. They have a lot better feel for how good that horse is going to be, what they really believe in. And they're wrong too. But I would be arrogant to think that I know better. So, I look at pedigree, I look at past performance. I do some of my own theoretical on, but by and large, that's a big driver. And yeah, I kind of lost the thread, so I forgot where I was going. But yeah, long story short is, yeah, support in the game is a lot of what dictates how good a sire looks. That, of course, and an underlying sire rating, which is similar and oftentimes spot on to the damn sire rating.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to put it in layman's terms is that players are pretty much the ones who drive the success, or whether a sire is successful or unsuccessful as a sire or a dam sire. I mean, that's probably the easiest way to explain it. I mean, if you have it as a dam sire and you're giving it shitty sires, then I would not expect to get great horses all the time, and vice versa, right? Like that's you breed shit with shit, and you're gonna get shit. I mean, occasionally you'll get a diamond or something like that, but once in a blue moon, right? Or once every 600 sires, so or 600 bred. That's a random number, by the way. That's not an exact number, so please don't go do that. So let's see. Let's see. We got a bunch of comments here.
Yeah, I don't have my glass. My problem is my glasses. This distance, I can't see without my glasses, and it would hurt my eyes to read at this distance with my glasses. So yeah, I'm relying on you, Frank, to read.
All right, I got you. I got you, buddy. We're gonna. I'll handle it. We got. Let's see. That's a go. Taffy suggested doing the exchange to dollar in PayPal, then use that to buy credits. Someone else suggested to use a VPN. Croft said, instead of buying shirts and caps while I'm here, I should be buying credits. Absolutely, Croft. You got to take advantage of that exchange rate. Let's see. We'll go down to Dragnil. He said, I'm thinking that happens with Dirt and Turf too. One particular South African sire comes to mind, gets used for dirt and makes it look like it's possible. It's possible, Dragnil. Just because just because a horse is in the game, just because a horse is showing better stats on the dirt, and it's actually a turf horse, doesn't mean that it's not rated properly for us. It just means that's where the people in the game are having success, or where they're running them.
Yeah. And again, that goes back to, not to keep beating up the chat. When I say beating it up, just reminding people that we really do. Frank did a good job with the wiki and kind of walking through it. It's not perfect. It was written years and years ago, but it will give us an idea. And if you can get any information in there, we will cross-check it against our stats. And if we have enough people telling us one particular thing and we look at our stats and it's another particular thing, we will fix it, and we'll do the research. We're not, but that's the trick, like I said, kind of a swarm logic approach. If 100 people say it, I can throw out the outliers on both sides and go somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Use the median, use the middle number, because that's usually going to be about accurate. So yeah, the more the merrier, man. Give me those stats. Give me your thoughts. We'll use them.
Yeah. I mean, it's the one thing I do want to mention make mention of is on the wiki, I screwed up on the rating that I told you guys to use. So let me pull this over real quick and just show you real quick what I need you to do. I mean, I created a video of it in the forum.
Oh, nice.
But I still want to show this group just in case people didn't see it in the forum. But the rating that we need is right here, the global breeding rating. I failed to mention that. That was probably the most important one, and I failed to mention it. So, yeah, that's the one that we need.
Back off on wear and tear. I see what you're saying, Frank. Is you know what? Probably not. I get it. You want your horses to last as long as possible, and you want to run them. I mean, I get that. There's the thing I think that, not to break my hand, pat myself on the back here. The thing that we do in the game well, even though in theory it sounds awful, we run it in real time. We run it a year in the game as a year in real life. And that's a tough line to walk, because it does make for a game that operates very slowly, where most games are conditioned where you can run through it. You can get a lot of results quick. It's, and that's awesome. And I think that the real time works well for two reasons in the game. First off, there's a lot of people. You can have a lot of horses. It's not like training a real horse where you only, you can focus on X amount, or you have a bunch of, trainer help to, secondary trainers to help you prep horses. But the other thing that is, and we this was the decision I made early on, and I'm glad I stuck with it. Is that we get sires yearly, and if we start running the game 2x speed, then the sires get out of whack with real life. The sires in the game will get out of whack with real life, and we don't want that. But that kind of goes back to the wear and tear. Is that, you know what? I mean, how many times should I let a horse race? I mean, that's, we made the decision early on from at least, we don't want to see horses racing, even though I know I've seen horses race hundreds of times, but they don't race well when they do. They're usually like dragging up the track.
Right.
So, but we want horses to have a shelf life. And part of that is the wear and tear. And if a horse is too good, I mean, the last thing you want is a horse that can run 40 or 50 times. That's, in 2 or 3 years, that's just beating everybody's ass. No, that's no fun for anybody.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, you gotta not put a cap on it, but it's a slow leak, right? Like that's the way it effectively works. And again, each horse handles it differently. So
yeah,
as you go on, it's a necessity in the game, because otherwise, like Mike said, you're just gonna have horses running forever. And that actually, as fun as that sounds, it actually turns into like repetitive nonsense that people get tired of real quick.
Yeah, it's again, not to, I think the one thing that makes the game, at least I won't say unique, but it is a bit unique in the fact that it runs in real time, and it's a patience. It's a long haul, and I get that. That's not, even for a player that enjoys that. Sometimes it can be frustrating because it is. It's not the way a lot of games are played. I mean, it's more like a fantasy football where, if you carry a player over from year to year, I mean, it's more similar to that. So some people love to do that, and some people want to shake their team up every year because it does, changes things. But yeah, to go back to that, I'm not against either. And this is, I've dabbled with this in the past, and the code may allow it. I mean, hell, at that point, maybe. The good news is I'm writing the game. I'm rewriting parts of the game. Hell, maybe we have a secondary game that runs faster, or where the wear and tear doesn't matter, where you don't cross over into the real game. And it's more like, it's kind of what we do with hot races a little bit. Yep. So if I recall, the wear and tear doesn't tear you up in the hot races like it does like running real races, as well as that's why you see horses recover a lot faster for hot races.
The opposite.
Really?
Yep, the opposite.
Okay, show you what I know.
You do get tore up the same. It's equal, and as far as getting tore up.
Okay, my bad. I just lied to all my customers. I apologize.
The only reason I know that is because somebody asked me about it in one of the first streams, and you actually responded in the stream telling me it was equal. So that's the only reason why.
Yeah,
I know it's equal.
Then see, I'm losing my mind, so I apologize. I probably looked at the code. I probably had the code in front of me. I've not got the code up right now. So, and yeah, it is. It's a.
And for all of you who don't believe me, the code is super complex to the point where he even doesn't remember things from it on occasion. Yeah, it's wild.
The race code, and this is only the race code that I'm rewriting from Visual Basic, is it's over 1,000 lines long. I think it's 1,300. It'll be shorter in Python, but again, I'm going to keep it exactly. It's going to do the exact same thing. So I'm not even adding efficiency. I literally want it to match the code to make sure that we get it right.
Yeah, and we're doing a good job, or not we. Mike's doing a good job. I'm just
it's
for
a team effort here, Frank. You're not just a pretty face.
Listen, if I'm the pretty face, then we have problems. So
shit, they're looking at me. They know who the pretty face is. It's you, baby.
Well, hey, I guess maybe we change the logo to just my face, which is.
I'll take it.
There we go. That's the new Derby Fever logo right there. Let's see what we got. We got. Taffy says, I like that you never know how long they're going to be good for, so you have to enjoy the ride. Yeah, I mean, that's part of horse racing, right? I mean, they all fall off a cliff eventually, unless they get retired, in which case nobody's doing that in our game.
Yeah, they shouldn't. That is the one thing you got to shit on real horse racing, because I love the sport. But yeah, it does. I wish we would see. I wish they could somehow subsidize and make it worth the while of keeping horses on the track longer. I 100% understand why they can't. But yeah, it's as a guy who watched Cigar win 17 races in a row, it's just disappointing to see horses get pulled off the track as soon as they do something, good. It's like, you're off the track because we can put you at the stud. It is what it is.
It's business. Maddie asks, Mike, is there wear and tear Excuse me, Mike. Is the wear and tear the same type of setting for all sires? Guess what I'm trying to ask is horses are raced
Yeah.
differently in Australia, say, to what is considered the norm in the USA.
If I recall, and again, I lied to the public here just a few minutes ago, and I apologize. If I recall, the way the wear and tear, it's kind of a cumulative. Well, it's definitely a cumulative thing. But I agree with you on the way Australian horses are run. And I remember I did an Australian horse racing contest, and I forget who it was, but somebody ran like 3 times in 11 days. But they aren't beating their horses to death like we do in the United States. It's just true. Um, I believe that the code, and if it's not, I'll definitely at least reconsider looking at this as I'm in the code. I believe the code takes into account breaks in between. So if you were to run your horse a couple of times quick and then give them a layoff and run them a couple more times quick, you're not accumulating. So say you race 2 or 3 times within a few weeks. I wouldn't recommend it, but again, I try to take two worlds and blend them together in Australia. But I do think I try to accommodate for that and go, if you race them and then you space them, and then you race them and then you space them, you're not going to get that kind of accumulation. So if you race space, say 9 races over the course of a year, but you ran 3 within a month and a half and laid off, 3 within a month and a half and laid off, 3 within a month and a half. It's going to be different than if you just race 9 races over 6 months. So yeah, it's not going to be as wear and tear. So in a way, it's taken into account. Is it perfect? No. But I do believe that the code accommodates for kind of layoffs in between spurts of racing, making the future wear and tear a lot less, kind of less damning on a horse.
Almost like form cycles, basically.
Yeah.
Not something that we've actually gotten into very much on since I started doing these, but I did mention form. I just hadn't gone into all the details behind it. I'll let you talk about that. So we got
Again, I haven't looked at all this code lately, man. I may end up lying to people, and I'm trying not to do that.
No, it's all good. Hey, listen, we'll answer the best we can, and if we find something, we can come back and elaborate. DB says, "Hi guys, having technology differences here, but I am paying attention." Oh, fuck you, DB.
Fantastic. Now, come on now.
DB's my boy. He knows.
Don't hate on Donnie Baseball.
He knows. He usually enters the Slack chat and gives me a big fu every time every time he pops in. So he's my boy. We got Jono, who said so that could be a mobile version of the game that doesn't run in real time.
Yeah.
And wear and tear.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And I'm pretty sure, and again, this is a pretty sure. The good thing about our app is that technically the only thing it cares about is you log in with a username and a password, and it'll show you all your races if you use the mobile app. If we had a mobile version of the game that was not related, you probably had to have a different login, or maybe I'd have a secondary password or something, or maybe you just put like MBL or something underscore at the beginning, and it could load a whole other set of races. It's not tied to the queries are back in. When I say this, I mean it in the best of ways. The developer was fantastic. I've worked with him twice now. He wrote the original viewer. He wrote the new viewer. He's very easy to work with. He's very fair, and he's very smart. And he and I worked together, and I told him, I want this viewer to be as dumb as possible. And when I say that, what I mean is I don't want the viewer making decisions, and I didn't want much baked into the viewer. So everything I feed externally into the viewer, which means things like that, to use the viewer even, we could use that viewer with a secondary version of the game. If it's all theoretical, because I can't promise you that because I never did it, but it's written to do exactly that. So we thought of that early on. So yes, a mobile version of the game where you kind of enjoy the viewer and you kind of race horses. Hell, if you want to 2 or 3 times a day, why not? So, I mean, if it's fun, it's fun. And I agree. There's a place for horse racing games like that. There really is. It's just when we wrote this game, I'll rewind it to when I first wrote this game. I wrote this game with 14 tracks, 10 races running once a week. I didn't think anybody would play it. I wrote it in Excel. I wrote it to learn HTML. I wrote it to learn websites because it's something I wanted to learn. And I had no intention of ever running this game 25 years later. So, those decisions I made then were like, let's just write something that I don't see that I would like. And we've expanded on it. And I've obviously taken a lot of your guys' ideas, but a lot of that original kind of slow motion, slow roll of the game is just something that that's the way I enjoy playing, and it makes it, a unique experience to compared to a lot of games.
Absolutely, I'd agree. We're gonna go ahead and jump to the next question, which was from Scoobs, and it is, Mike, does a hot race run the same as a regular race, or is it like scrimmage was on the football game where it was a lot different?
It's the same code. It is the same code. It's there's technically no difference.
Same code. You
If
just
I
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only thing I was gonna say is you might see unique results out of hot races because of the short fields.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you'll see that because a lot of times, what you'll see more of in the hot races is, and you'll see this in a lot of the small races where you only see like one player horse and three computer horses. Generally speaking, and this is something we've considered, generally speaking, computer horses are garbage. Maybe we improve that, maybe we don't one day. That's up for debate. But what you'll see a lot of times is when a horse gets too far ahead, just like in real life, the jockey's not going to run his eyeballs out just to get a 100 speed number. If everybody else in the field is 5 seconds behind the horse in the lead isn't going to try to run his best race. He's just not going to. So you'll see a speed number that pops on a horse that's notably lower than he can run. And you'll see that particularly a lot in hot races because a lot of times they are running short fields. Or you guys, and I love it, you guys will be like, let's go breed trash horses and throw them in a hot race and see who wins. And then one horse is a lot better than the other. I mean, he may end up being a really good horse, but he really is a lot better than everybody else. So, that's 62 he ran may have been an 84, except that there was no reason for the jockey to push him that hard.
Yeah. Padre says that's a whole lot of commas, semicolons, colons, and parentheses, I think, is that 1,300 lines. You are damn right, Padre, it is.
Actually, you know what, Padre? I will tell you this, and this is no secret sauce, but the code that I'm using in Visual Basic right now that I'm using to this day is the code that I originally wrote in Excel 20 some years ago, and I had to modify it to get it from Excel to Visual Basic 6 and then Visual Basic 6 to Visual Basic 2012. So it's written horribly. If you've ever written VBA in Excel, I want to say horribly. I hope the code's right because I did a bunch of audits on it. But as far as like from a technician standpoint, it's garbage.
It is.
It looks terrible. It looks terrible. It's awful. It's written like VBA code was. And so, yeah, technically, if I showed you, you'd be like, that looks like somebody wrote VBA for an Excel spreadsheet because it was literally written for an Excel spreadsheet. So then I transformed it out of Excel.
It is tough to read.
It's awful looking.
It's tough to read, but to his credit, like it works wonders. Like he really did do a good job getting it transferred over. So kudos to Mike on that because I looked at it and I was like,
25-year-old Mike or 27-year-old Mike, 50-year-old Mike, 51-year-old Mike. 51-year-old Mike is pulling out what few gray hairs he's got left over trying to rewrite this in Python. I'll tell you that.
I looked at it and I was like, Jesus Christ, I quit. So that was my impression. But no, he did a really good job with it. It's tough to read, but it's you can get the gist of it. Anybody who's got a coding background can understand it. You can understand it, but at the same time, it's you couldn't figure it out, right? Like there's no way that a player would be able to look at it and be like, oh, I can 100% win by doing this. Doesn't work that way.
Well, especially with the current code, because I am rewriting it in Python to where a player could probably figure out better. But in the current code, I don't even use, there is not even like names of fields. So when it uses like a certain field, it says, this is I'll give you a good example. It might say, this is the distance the horse prefers. Somewhere around here is where the horse prefers. You would never know what field that was. I think it's like 23 or something. So it's always referred to as comma 23.
It sucks is what it is. Because when you guys are asking me questions, that's the shit that I'm trying to read to figure out how to answer your question. But yeah, no, he's absolutely right. That's exactly what it is.
So yeah, if I put the code in here, there's a pretty good gist that, you know what? I take that back. You guys are smart. You guys find stuff in the game that I didn't know existed. So I'm sure somebody could decipher it quick, but yeah, it's a mess. people like me and Frank, the paste eaters in the family, we have to go slow with it.
That's very true. X comma 23, X comma 69, X comma 100.
Yep.
It's all embedded up here now. So we got Croft said the beer must be kicking in. You damn right. We got Beer Keg says, damn, he's casting to the big screen, and you're right. Even more terrifying with two faces. That's the truth, man. That's the truth.
Don't put us on the big screen. You're getting what you asked for there.
Yeah. Dockman says, I was there at AP for Cigars 17th. They'll run 2 times at Ascot, Royal Ascot in a week. Yep. Rancho said there are studies out there that say the dirt racing is harder on horses than turf racing. I don't disagree with that. And that's why I won't get into a technical discussion, but I will say I still think for horse racing in general, they're going to have to really embrace and use a better poly track or some kind of artificial surface, because dirt racing is hard on horses. And not only that, let's be honest, and this is just me, I'm a bit critical of the way that a lot of tracks in the United States are run, especially the cheaper tracks. It's like running on concrete. It's not good for horses. So yeah, I mean, any type of turf is going to be better than running on most of the dirt in the United States. Yeah, Rancho wants to know, does starting over the dirt contribute more to wear and tear than turf?
Now, you know what? Again, arguably, it probably could. I don't believe that's in the code.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. Padre says someone just bred a horse named Raceman Spaceman.
I like that name.
That's a good one. Shag, what's up, man? Don't write Shag in chat, otherwise it'll block you. Just got here. What did I miss?
It's like Candyman or something.
Donnie, these DJs suck. That's great. Croft said there's a mobile app. I think that got figured out already. Taffy said, love it, Mike. Seriously, so much fun and a great place to put my bloodline obsession. Absolutely. Let's see. You got BK. He says, Sam, I thought you said Twitch was full of semi-nude streams. Well, we're getting there, BK.
Here we go.
We're getting liquored. We're getting liquored up. All right, the sweats come off.
Yeah. You don't want any part of that, guys.
Sam says, there are, Keg. Talk to me later. Let's see. Croft, you could ask them to take their. Oh man, this conversation took quite the turn. Taffy, I only do horses in 3 CPU when I'm trying to get money. I am 20K from 1 million. I'll do that. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find questions. How many unique users were there in 2000, 2010 versus today?
Hard to say. I keep a lot better eye on the IP addresses. There were probably a few more. I won't say tons more. I think we do a better job now of knowing who exactly is who. I think back then, I think a lot of people were running kind of, even though you would see somebody may run 3 or 4 master stables and literally have sub stables inside a master stable. I guess, well, let me rephrase that. That's 2010. That was even before this release. Or no, there were still master stables then, wasn't there? There were still master stables. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be honest with you. I think at the game's peak, this is a guess, so I could be grossly wrong on this. I think at the game's peak, we were on like 2,500 users. I think we're probably about half that now, maybe less than half. And some of that is, I'll be honest with you, it's people. I try to add to the game some. It's not an easy road. Horse racing in general is not the sport as far as from a popularity standpoint it used to be. Games, and a lot of games have a natural shelf life regardless of how good they are. So it's a combination of things. We try to add things to the game. We try to keep the user base as much as we can. But I think it's probably, a guess. It maybe has just as many people, maybe half the number of people, maybe somewhere between half and 3/4 would be my guess, but that's non-scientific at best.
All right, let's see. We get the next question was from Beer Keg. Is there truth to the rumors that he started that gelding reduces wear and tear?
No.
Did not think so. Sorry, BK. You're full of shit. Just kidding. We lost Croft again. Too much code talk. Let's see. Beer Keg says, same with low effort leading to lower wear and tear when they don't ignore and run 100% and win. So does that...
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that
a lower effort will reduce. I'm again, I'd have to verify this in the code, but I'm pretty sure lower effort does at least slow. It doesn't affect wear and tear as much. But running horses, I mean, don't go running your horses a bunch with lower effort and think it's not going to get you wear and tear. I mean, when I say not much, it's just less. It's not notably less. So yeah,
yep.
running the horse is what gets you.
All right, we got Shag. It says, does that mean I shouldn't be writing in VB6 anymore? Yep, Shag, you should
Probably
stop
not.
writing in VB6.
If it makes you feel any better, Shag, just today, because I wanted, if anybody asked why I was rewriting in Python, I actually looked up language popularities, and you'd be surprised how much code is still written, particularly in Visual Basics. They call it original Visual Basic and Visual Basic, like other versions. Still a lot of it out there, but Python, oddly enough, is a language that started out a little less popular. And when I rewrote the game in VB 2012, in like 2012, or actually 2000, VB 2008 or 2010 is what I originally wrote it in, and then I just transferred it because I updated versions of VB. Um, it was notably more popular than Python, and since then Python, even though the language is fabulous, it's one of the, if not the most popular language. So, I think that this rewrite, and I think I said this about the last rewrite 12 years ago. This rewrite is hopefully my last, and I'm writing it in a code base that's not going to disappear. It's also not like a Microsoft code base. It is it's open source.
we're also a little bit further along technologically as a world too, right? So,
Yeah.
the cloud exists. There's things that kind of allow us to transition some of these code bases a little bit better than in years past. So, let's see. Shag said, "Oh no, I already read that." Taffy's put in all one word, so I don't get banned. Shag would figure it out. Uh, let's see. Padre says basically why I stopped taking computer science classes 20 plus years ago was using C++ back then. Oh my god, I remember those days.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of C. I know a lot of guys have code in it. I know it's one of the most popular language. I think three of the most popular five languages that I looked at on that list, I think it was C, C sharp, and C++. And you
I
know
know
what?
Sharp.
I get it. More power to you, but
Sharp is
pointers are
tough.
stupid. I'm just putting. I don't think they're garbage.
I know bits and pieces of Sharp, and Sharp is a little much in my opinion.
Yeah.
But learning Python with Mike, or actually I'm starting to get a grip on it anyway. But it's a little bit more fluid than some of the other languages. Some of the other languages are pretty archaic.
Yeah.
But
And the cool thing, not to wear you guys out with coding, but yeah, the nice thing is about Python is it does allow you to do a lot of array manipulation that other languages don't allow you easily to do. That's why I've written a lot of code, probably more code than the average coder does in SQL. And the reason is because SQL, you can apply matrix style manipulations, which are efficient and they're very easy to write, and it's very logical. Python has more of that style than most other languages, so that's why I like it.
very intuitive as well, SQL. So if you're looking to start coding, that's where I would point you. All right, enough shop talk. Let's see. We got Jono. So Mike, did you like the merch idea or not? Mike loved the merch idea based on one of the texts he sent me.
Yeah. Now I'm not against the merch idea. It's just one of those things is I'll be honest, I didn't know there was an appetite for it. I mean, I'm not against it. It'd be, like you said, if you put it on Redbubble or something, I mean, I'll put it out there. I'm just like, again, Redbubble and things like what's the other one? T Public, I think. I mean, it's not a big money maker as far as that goes, and I'm fine with that. I mean, if it's more for people want it, yeah, I'll happily put it out there. So there's some camaraderie in that. I mean, I love to, something like that is, especially if I put it out there third party, even if I'm not making any money off of it. If people are getting something that they enjoy and want to support the game that way, then I've got no problem with it. So
All right. Let's see. We had Maddie say, "Not all computer horses are shit if placed right." Yep. Some of those
that's true.
computer horses will beat your ass. Um, Sam says, "Mike's exact quote on gelding. I still have it. It can help with consistency and give a possible boost. Wear and tear is different according to my understanding." That is true,
Yep.
Sam.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, Jono says, "Why don't we have many poly races? Hardly any of them when I search." I don't think poly are actually
Yeah, I don't think I
carded.
card them.
Yeah,
And the reason is, I'll be honest with you, is that I put it in the game around the time that the United States looked like we were going to have a lot of poly. If I remember correctly, Keeneland went to poly. I think Turfway went to poly. It looked like, I think, I forget track in California, but a lot of tracks are going to poly. And
Santa
it looked
Anita.
like poly was going to be the next big thing. And the thing was the Horsemen rejected it. Again, I sat here and told you within the last hour that I think it's the way that horse racing should go, but it's not the way it is now. And literally poly numbers, trying to guess how a sire is going to do on poly, it would be a guess. We can make an assumption it's going to be more like dirt. We can make an assumption it's going to be more like turf. There's not enough numbers. We don't have a historical basis, even at least, like if you get a new horse that that retires, and you would even know if he never raced a race. You'd be able to look at his pedigree, because we have so much history on dirt and turf, to go, he's probably going to be about this surface on turf or dirt. Poly, there's none of that. And so the ratings that I would put in the game, and I even put in the game now, there's two, I won't call it a random element because it's fixed, but it's a guess. It's really an absolute just guess. And I don't feel comfortable carding a lot of races where people, I mean, technically, I guess if you want to make the argument, I mean, it's just a guess version of a turf dirt. So yeah, that's why I don't do it. There's not a big appetite for it in the States. I don't think there's a big appetite for it in a lot of places, and it's just no historical data.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. It says, "I bet this game outlasts Fortnite shelf life." I don't know, man. Fortnite is pretty popular.
Yeah.
We got
Well,
super
right now we're lapping them as far as long term. I mean, how long's Fortnite been around? 10 years.
close to 10 years, yeah. But
All
they
right.
keep they
So
keep a
we got 15 years on them.
yeah. No, we got a hell of a head start. But man,
Yeah.
they evolve
Yeah.
like no other game out there from what
Yeah.
I've seen.
They do good shit. I'm not gonna
Epic
lie. So.
Epic is pretty impressive with the shit they've come up with in that game. Like I'll admit that, and
Mhm.
that's coming from a big time gamer. So
Yeah.
let's see. We got Jono. Have you ever thought of having free trials that don't contribute to wear and tear to be able to work your horse out in terms of surface and distance?
Again, I've thought about it. There was a time when I was even highly considering it. I'm not against it. As far as the trials, I mean, if you're talking putting them up against other horses, I don't know. You know what? At least I'll consider it as I'm working on, the new version. I'm not sure. I know that's big. There's trial races are not big in the States. Obviously, there's just more workouts. But yeah, I mean, uh, I try to I try to toe a line between the way the States operates and the way the UK operates and the way Australia operates, and that's why we run on like one uniform calendar system. I chose the United States because it's January 1st, but Australia obviously runs pretty much on half year later as far as when they do their most of their breedings, etc. So it's a matter of just does it make sense? I'm not against it. I mean, I think it's one of those things where, and I know Frank's mentioned this. New version of the game, we'll consider it, but as far as we'll have to ask, what I've got some bug flying over here. Sorry. What does it add to the game? I mean, I know theoretically it gives you guys a little more information, which is not. I mean, that's always a good thing. But who knows? And I have a feeling it's one of those things. In theory, some people would use it. I think in practice, a lot of people just want to get their horse out on the track and you know, think about it. I mean, you run a trial race, it's still going to add a little wear and tear, maybe not a lot. I mean, if it doesn't add wear and tear, if it's just a workout, then it's just a workout. You're going to have to get into the horse and find out. So it would add a little bit. It may not be nearly as much, but it's got to be something. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it's just a workout. And then at that point, it's just a random guess. I'm just,
yeah. I think
it's like a show pony.
to like piggyback on top of that, like if it's because it's a game, there's got to be a reaction to every action you take. You know what I mean? It can't just be, hey, I'm going to run 37 workouts because I want to run 37 workouts and data mine, verbiage and things like that, and then figure out what means this and what
Yeah.
means that. And yeah, no, I mean, there's got to be a reaction to every action, and That's gaming. That's how you combat the spamming and the other bullshittery that goes on in games, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, we wouldn't really be able to get away with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a better answer, because even if people did use it, that just means that more resources going towards the game, that's not adding anything to the game. That's just, yeah.
Right.
So that gives, unnecessary information, or, too much information for no, like you said,
There's no
no
payoff,
response.
right?
Yeah.
There's no payoff, right? If we're gonna give you all the answers, we might as well just tell you what the horse is rated. Let's see. Beer Cake said, "Just kidding, but not really. I'm the shit." Oh, you spelled that. That sentence is wrong. You got to remove the Beer Keg. Move it to I'm shit.
Come on, man.
Oh, I love BK. BK's my boy too. He
I love Burger King too, man.
no, wrong BK, but
Does anybody remember that Tender Crisp Bacon Cheddar Ranch song that Darius Rucker did?
I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, you need to check it out, because between the time I guess he was with Hootie and had his country career, he did a BK commercial, and it's one of the best commercials ever. So yeah, if you get a chance, go query up Darius Rucker Burger King commercial. It's glorious. I love it. So sorry to bring that up.
Nah, it's all good. Let's see. Padre arrays and string and crap like that, and C++ sucked in my head. Yup. Let's see. Docman, he's talking to Vision. Don't need that. Sam, another horse racing sim uses real jockey names at each circuit. Is that really a potential legality problem?
Maybe. I'm not going to find out. That's up to them.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is I mean, technically, I guess, I've in the past had a farm reach out to me that they didn't like I was using their horse. But by and large, there's an argument for horses as far as statistics. Nobody's confusing, I'm not really using a likeness of a horse. I've talked to a lawyer early on. I think I'm pretty safe about it as far as using the horses. Jockeys, the thing is about that, horses add to the game, jockeys don't. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but putting Jerry Bailey in our game, what does that really offer if we got a guy that runs just like Jerry Bailey?
Don't you speak ill of Jerry Bailey. That's Uncle
I know,
Jerry.
That's why I did it.
You son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not speaking bad about Jerry Bailey.
I know.
But
I'm
at the same time, adding names to jockeys, I mean, that's just, to me, as much as horse racing, I know horse racing, especially in the States, went through a phase where they were trying to make jockeys the celebrities. People love the horses. Nobody's watching horse racing for the jockeys, so and it's not, I try, you've seen me recently and with good reason, and I feel bad about it, but ultimately I had to do it. Picture uploads, we got busted for a couple of takedowns on that. Even then we could use, and I would like to thank Beer Keg, because he told me about this. I wasn't even aware. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which would protect us to a degree, but at the end of the day, even then, it's there's still the argument of a takedown notice, and we don't have, I run this with a shoestring budget. I do appreciate the players sending money. I couldn't run the servers without it. Server costs aren't cheap, and but even then, I mean, the last thing, I'm sure BK will probably agree with me. Ultimately, the law team that wins is the one that has the most money behind them. I don't have any money. So if somebody sued me, whether it's frivolous or not, I don't have the money to go out and pay lawyers to defend me. I would try to defend myself, and there's no way I could defend myself in a court of law. So I had to remove things like the picture uploads, and putting jockey names in there just reeks of a problem that I don't want.
Yeah. That's why you pretty much see we have well, not we, but why it's been done with just the initial letter of the first name, or like the first two letters and then a last name, because you can't tie that to any specific, I mean, you could take a guess as to who's who, right? But you're not going to tie it together.
And again, it really does. I mean, lawyers can, the right team comes after you. It doesn't matter if you're 100% in the right. It's going to cost you money to defend yourself, and we're trying to avoid any of that.
It's overhead is what it ultimately turns out to be, and you don't want any of that. So
time and overhead, it's just more shit that we got to deal with instead of writing new code. So
yeah, and that's the fun part for us, is writing the code. So the more time that and I know I've said this in the past, but the more time that we spend doing some of these little like combative things or what have you, like, again, fixing the website now as opposed to just doing it through the overhaul, it takes time away from that. So it's time is the biggest enemy, and there's not much of it. So
Yeah, time, age, time, age, and energy for me. As Frank is still young and spry, life's run me over. So yeah, it's and I know I mean, this is my first stream with you guys. I think this is fabulous. Thank you for placating me and making me feel like I'm somebody actually cares about the horse racing game. Actually, I know y'all do it. I appreciate it.
we
But
got 25 in here.
yeah. I mean, I wrote this parts of this when I was in my early 20s. It went online, I think, when I was 26. Anybody that's, I'm 51 now. I'm getting older, man. I'm a little more tired. Things aren't as quick as they used to be in my brain. I have a full time job. I have families. I'm trying to keep up with everything. When I first wrote this game, I didn't even have a wife. I wrote the game. The game was online before I met my wife. So this game's been around a long time, and I just had more time. I had more energy, and you know what, man? It's Father Time gets us all. Nobody's getting out of this alive. But I'm a little slower than I used to be, and that's why I appreciate Frank really helping me. But yeah, it's time is a problem, and just energy, man. Sometimes I need to take a break. I'll be honest. I just need a break.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, it's I was telling Mike the other day from my real job, they when he was when he was out of town, my real job, not my real job, well, yeah, my real job beat the crap out of me like the 3 weeks that he was out of town. So I was just slammed between this and that. And by the time like he came back, I even told him, I was like, man, I just need a day or two just to be away from a computer and just not do anything. It never happens that way, but that's what I needed. But
and I appreciate it, Frank. Just to let everybody here know is that the last time I took any real vacation without ish interaction with the game was 20 some years ago. I think it's 2001. That was when I went to Europe. And actually, if anybody in the game remembers Manny, and anybody remembers what's his game name? I know his name's Alex. I can't remember his game name, but I met both of those guys in Belgium, and it was great. I mean, I actually got to, I met players from the game in a different country. It was fantastic. Didn't meet anybody in the UK or Italy, but this is the first time I've had to where I didn't even open a computer. I mean, the computer stayed closed. And I think I may have texted Frank once or twice, maybe. I don't even know how I did that. I texted somebody. But I stayed. It really was refreshing to get away and to have somebody like Frank that I trusted. That I knew if shit wasn't going to go sideways with him on the scene. So just thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. He texted me once to make sure I didn't burn the house down, but I told him I gave everybody Tappet shares and they were all fine. So there was no worries at that point.
Yeah.
So we got Padre says, Mike, we can talk about merch later. I can get logos printed on almost anything you want, being at this print shop for work last 17 years.
All right.
Sounds good.
Padre always comes through, man.
Yeah,
and thank you for the new retirement badge or the mom badge. I don't remember which one it was, but
retirement.
Padre, if you guys didn't know, is the Derby Fever logo was his. So the logo you see on the top of the Derby Fever front page, he helped me with that, and he helped me with a bunch of stuff in the past. So yeah, thanks, dude. I do appreciate it.
Sam says, please keep it separate. I enjoy the game more pre-hot races. Hot races can really skew sire and DS stats.
Yeah. You know what? I would never put a different version. The hot race was one where I mulled putting it in the game. I did eventually. I tried to keep it as non-intrusive as possible. Like you said, it skews stats because I guess it adds races, so it would add to the bottom line of horse win percentages, probably more than anything, maybe dollar per race. Yeah, so I could see, I'm not disagreeing with you. Actually, that's a good point that I never really thought about. But I added hot races as just as a fun thing. That's why I made it where it's, you don't get as many points. It's cheap to do. It's fun. It's not really meant to be. It's almost a game within a game. You'll make the argument that, that it's not really real horse racing. It's not. But yeah, if I ever did anything where you were running like a different version of the game, that would be totally separate from this version. I have no intention of polluting, any more than, I guess, hot races do pollute a little bit, but I give a hoot. I try not to pollute.
uh, Beer Kegs says Derby Fever Mancini's. Did I read that right? Sorry, the vision's starting to get a little blurry. Oh, that was actually, I read that wrong. Or no, I'm out of order. Yep, I'm out of order. Let's see. Taffy said Polly might be interesting for Del Mar. Arlington Park went to Polly from Dockman. Beer Cake says, especially once we can dump gift horses to the CPU. Good CPU horses. Yeah, I mean that's since we that was one of the first things we brought up because of some of the craziness that was going on in the auction, but it's still on the table. Like you said, we haven't gotten to that point where we're ready to kind of code for it yet. But Mike, I'll let you elaborate on it as far as how you want it to work.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, that's a lot of our problem early on. I know there was we dropped a surprise on you guys in the last couple months with the little surfer dude and the hamster, and I guess it's a guinea pig and the grandma.
And the grandma.
Yeah, but generally that was one of our biggest overhead problems was just too many horses that were getting bred too quickly. And we were kind of throwing stuff at the wall quickly to try to resolve that. I'll be honest with you, the resolutions we put in place have helped immensely. There's still a little concern about were they enough? They definitely helped. So, we don't, part of that returning horses to save the auction. Maybe we consider that again. And again, that's the good news is things like that. I would say it got pushed back. We were running just ideas, and
we were trying to figure out a solution is what we were trying to do.
I do believe at one point, and I'm sure Taffy will remember this, and probably Sam, probably a bunch of you guys. There was a time I think I used to give horses back to the CPU, if not the where you could actually send your horse back to the CPU. I don't recall. I don't know why I took it out. I know it was there, unless it was like one of those Berenstein Bears moments where I believe that I put it in there and I didn't. But for some reason, I thought it was there, and then it got removed. So because I actually looked for it when we were, when Frank and I were talking about that to see if I just suppressed it, but I couldn't find it in the code. So maybe it was a Berenstein Bear moment. But yeah, I'm not against sending that back. Again, I think really comes down to this. I do want to offer a lot more, options to the game. I know that, I try to add new things. I try to make important changes or important updates from time to time. I know last year, even though you probably, kind of last year and the year before, well, we did do the new viewer, but we also did, even though it's not as formal a change or not as formal to the front end, is the big lift on moving the game completely to the cloud. So it was out of my home. So with that said, I try to make a big change every year. This year, I plan on doing that sire leasing. I think that's going to be helpful. That's been used, that's been requested by many players. The ability to, kind of have mares that you have too many of, and maybe, let another player use them, as well as if you guys hopefully enjoyed the new mare search, the sped up mare search, because I spent some time on trying to make that faster. And that was a lift of trying to change even the way that the old owners worked. So yeah, it's some of the changes aren't necessarily game influencing as much as they are quality of life influencing. But once we get to Python entirely, and that won't be for a while. Once we get there, everything will be much more API driven, which doesn't, I'm not trying not to put anybody to sleep, but that does allow me to do a lot less coding on the front end and a lot more one query return JSON. It becomes doing things like that becomes a lot easier to code. Right now, everything's just a pain in the ass to code.
It's much more linear to do things that way. Is the easy way to say it, rather than all this roundabout bullshit that has to get put into ASP.NET or classic ASP.NET and VB12. So Let's see. Let's see. We have some questions here. I saw Amir had a question. He said, "Frank, I watched the video where you said inbreeding can tip the balance positively or negatively. Does inbreeding particular horses impact it positively or negatively, or is it just an index that gets calculated if it is positive or negative on how much that horse is inbred?"
Yeah. I would say this is I'll field this one because I wrote this. It's going to be it's not so much that it's horse specific, it's going to be cross specific. So
Shit, I'll be right back.
if you breed, I'll tell you where I feel safe. Everything feels safe around 4X. Okay. If you're breeding stuff that's 4X and 5X, what you're going to get more of is there's going to be 4X and 5X is safe. If you start breeding in the 3Xs, you're asking for problems. Now, that being said, too, is you don't want to breed like, two horses that are identical, 4X, 5. Of course, for the 4X, 5X, it'd be the same. But, you don't want to breed complete back crosses back there. But by and large, adding that inbreeding doesn't hurt. It gives you, it kind of, it sways a little bit. I've tried, there are different, and this actually goes to, real pedigree. The potential number of pedigrees that you can have is practically infinite in horse racing. I mean, it's not infinite, but for all intents and purposes, the number of Bitcoins you could mine is finite, but in reality, there's a reason why you don't have collisions. And that's kind of the way with pedigrees. So you get a lot of information. Again, this is information that's hard to get a hold of for me. And if I could get a hold of it, it's costly. And so there's different rules of thumb and thought processes on are complete outcrosses better than, having some 4X, 5X, inbreeding. I will say this, avoid the 3X stuff. That's all I'll say is don't do that. I do know there are real horses. I think skimming is the example I always use as a horse that's actually inbred pretty miserably in real life that had a pretty good career. But yeah, as far as individual horses, does one horse, and I think I understand the question, does one horse inbreed different than another horse? It's going to depend on your cross. If you breed it with a horse that's, similar to its cross, then yeah, I mean, you're adding more inbreeding to it. But yeah, as far as, the inbreeding factor, it's not horse specific, so to speak. I'd put it that way. I saw a bunch of stuff coming up in the chat, Frank. I can't hear you right now if you're talking. You there?
Yep, I was talking. My bad. Sorry. I
must have said something stupid because I can't read it, and they started typing up a storm in the chat, so I'm afraid to look at it. Don't leave me, buddy. You had me scared.
My bad. Sorry. There was a commotion. Let's see. So we answered Amir's question.
Tried to anyway.
No, I think you answered it good. I mean, from what I heard anyway. I mean, again, from my layman's terms and whatnot, you're just widening the scale in essence.
Yeah.
Is it goes from,
yeah, you're gonna change the curve.
Exactly. You go from 0 to 10, and then instead of 0 to 10, if you get a lot of inbreeding, you go from 10 to -10, and that's the way it works. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to find questions. We are so far behind on chat, by the way.
I know. I told you they were typing up a storm while you were gone.
Oh, because you're a fucking rock star, man. That's
no, because I was just talking in circles. I sounded like a moron.
The Derby Fever Motley crew over here.
Frank.
I'm just the roadie. Let's see.
Nobody gave me a shout out for my girls.
next he wants a Derby Fever thong.
I could do that.
Listen. All I'm saying is we want pictures if that's the case.
Yeah.
We want pictures. So that we can post them up on the B2B and be like, look what y'all got with next. Let's see. We got coffee mugs. Worry about who's going to take care of my sim horses and brood mares when I'm gone. Let me see. Sorry. I'm trying to find everything here. It's true there was a bonus for giving a horse to the CPU when you bred a new one, I believe.
Yeah, I think there was at one point. Why I took it out, I'm sure there was a reason. But who knows?
Surge Barn by Sire is going to be fantastic. Yep, once we get there, it will be. Rich Strike won the Derby 3x3. Yeah, I mean, so again, just to go back on the inbreeding, right? Like, it doesn't mean that your horse is going to be bad. It just opens the it opens it up wider. So if you were on I'll use this exact same scenario or this exact same example. If you were on a 0 to 100 scale, maybe if you go super inbred, you opened it up to negative 100 to 100. So now you have a 200 point radius as opposed to just a 100 point radius. So your low could effectively be much lower and your high could effectively be the same.
Yeah, your high is not going to go up. I mean, I think that's where, again, and this is where, you know, we're limited by data points,
Yeah.
and the guy that I'd love to have in here tonight is Desperado, because he could answer. He could talk circles around me with this stuff. He's a professional at this. He knows what he's doing. I go by what I read. I go by what I understand. I go by what I see in form. It's hard to get these data points. It's hard to get an accurate, or let me rephrase that, not an accurate, but a usable number of data points to make it valid. There's outliers to everything, and you're going to see some horses in real life, and maybe, and this is an argument, you could make. There aren't many horses bred with 3x inbreeding in real life. They exist. If there were more, they would win more races. Just by law of large numbers. You know what? You throw more horses in the pool that you see with 3x inbreedings, you would see more horses with 3x inbreedings win big races. The argument is are they more sound? I don't know. Again, I could sit here and lie to you and tell you that, act like I know something I don't. I know what I read. I try to understand what I read, and I've researched it. And, that's it, man. Like I said, Desperado's the guy to ask the serious breeding questions.
Yeah, maybe I'll see if I can get Desperado to join us one day on the Zoom call.
That'd be awesome. He's a great dude. Love that guy.
I love talking to him in the chat. He gives me shit, and I appreciate anybody who can give me shit and have a good time with it. So
yeah.
Taffy says no pictures, please. And Spin says, hey, the B2B has standards. Also, I don't want to look at those pics in order to publish. Oh, man. Maybe that's the new logo instead of my smiling face. It's Ken in a thong, or next in a thong.
You think?
There you go. I think we might attract a different type of clientele, but hey, it'll, they'll show up.
Everybody's into something,
I suppose. Corey K said, damn, that horse probably has extra body parts. Who was it? Yeah. Oh, they dropped a link in the chat. It was, that's about as inbred as you get, right? Well, not about
Let me
as inbred.
See. I gotta see this.
Global campaign to Smart Strike. Yeah, that's pretty inbred. That's not nearly as bad as some of the ones I've seen, though.
Yeah, that's not good.
At least in the game, anyway. The extra leg won him a grade 1 and a ticket to the Bluegrass Derby. That's right. That's what happens. So we have actually gotten caught up on chat. I skipped a bunch of people's comments, but we got caught up. But yeah, man, we hit some new highs today. So we got 47 followers now, which is pretty damn impressive from streaming standards. And we also got 26 views right now. So also very, very impressive. So we're
hot shit.
That's right. Exactly.
You've been talking about the thongs. I had to go hot shit.
Calm down, Nelly. Let's see. Somebody posted, or somebody. That's why he's a bit an outrider. All that inbred rage. That's possible. Tavi says it's an addiction. Maddie said watching you two sip those beers made me go to the fridge. It's 11 a.m. Hey, man. It's not 11 a.m. here.
Somewhere.
It ain't 11 a.m. here, so. Brick and mortar is really inbred in real life. I actually haven't looked at his pedigree. I vaguely remember it, but I think you're probably. I'll take your word for that, Sam. You're probably right. Let's see. Yeah. Docman says, thanks for the years of entertainment, Mike. Remember the days of weekend racing only.
Yeah. You know what the thing is, and this is where. 2012 was a huge year for me, because that's when I actually had the game run itself. I used to run this. I don't think Frank was here for this.
Nope.
I used to actually do the uploads by hand weekly on the weekends. It was amazing. It was amazingly annoying.
I think I was 14 at the time. So I'm just kidding.
No, you probably were. But yeah, it's those were different days. I really I look back on those and I'm surprised so many people stuck it out. Which is probably why we had more players at one point. Some of them quit. Is yeah, back in those days, I don't think Frank knew this. I think I told him recently. You had to enter your horse. You had to enter, literally type in your horse number and the race you wanted to enter it in. There wasn't
Yeah.
a button to enter them automatically. Yeah, things have changed a little bit. So
Yep. Everyone's
we'll get better with every iteration. We're trying anyway.
everyone's commenting Rodots and Clickfest.
Rodots. Oh, what is a ClickBank banner? That's what it used to say under the banner. What is a ClickBank banner?
LOL. Once you added breeding, it was amazing.
Well, thank you. I know early on there's a horse race draft the first few years where I would breed new horses and people would like put in for the horses they wanted, and then I would assign them.
Oh
It was
man, that's
you know, it was
wild,
just-
dude.
well, here's the thing, and this goes back to and I'll since we don't have any questions, I'll just kind of spitball here for a second. Yeah, back when I first started, I did this pretty much to learn. I didn't see a horse racing game I liked on the internet when I first started. Well, when I got back to the internet, I used to write bulletin boards and things when I was a nerd ass kid. But I didn't see a horse racing game, so I wanted to learn how to write internet game stuff. So I used this as kind of a vehicle to learn. So a lot of my early code was a lot of the uploads and things. I didn't even have a database. The database I used, what I would do is people would write out to a text file, and I would import the text file and then write it back out to a usable format. So like during the day, it would use the text file and the stored data, and then once I would rewrite the new code and kill the old text file, I would kind of like self heal. So yeah, I was kind of like had a text based database. Didn't even use databases. They were too expensive back then. Access was available, but Access is you wouldn't want to run a whole website off of it.
No.
So yeah, it was all like just hand. I wrote databases and text and all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm surprised that anybody ever played it. So, but I learned, now I actually do SQL, but back then no SQL. So
Let's
text-based.
see. We got DB said uploading pictures. What about a link on the message board to an independent Instagram account run by some rando? I'm assuming you're talking about Ken's offer to buy a thong. Sam says, what about the ability to reuse a name after 10 years like it's done in real life?
I'm not against that, but it's not an argument, but it's a statement. There's an infinite number of names. Get creative. I mean, if it were up to me, you wouldn't use the real name. Of course, I guess there's so many horses in real horse racing historically, but yeah, just use a different name.
Yeah,
I have coming up with names is part of the fun, especially if you got a horse. If you got a good horse, of course, you want a good name. You want something that's going to like instill the fear of man into the field. But if you've got like a 107-point horse, man, get creative, have some fun with it.
That's right.
Be the first. It's like I always when I was a kid, one thing I used to like to do, and this is just shows you what a nerd I am. I used to love to try to say a sentence that no one had ever said ever in the history of man. So I would just come up with like some random sentence like jelly horses eat fat donut parts smothered in mayonnaise and dirty Miracle Whip. Just like throw random words. So I'm going to guess that sentence has never been spoken. That's kind of the fun is just, come up with a horse racing game nobody else in the game. Be current events, man. Current events are all around. Let's don't get political. I don't need to put political shit in the game. But current events, have some fun with it.
Unique. Let's see. Whisper said being up this time in the morning brings back the Clickfest memories. That's before my time.
I'm sorry about the Clickfest, man. That's you guys helped with the game back then. That was many, many moons ago. The internet was the Wild West back then. So
Taffy is asking, can you add back Rafi 2L criteria in the search?
Is that not in the search?
I don't think so. There's no conditions in the search, I don't think. I think I think it's just wide open to I think it's age. I forget. It's age, um, sex, and I think distance.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, Taffy's coming up with all kinds of shit tonight, so that's good. I know she mentioned the note thing, and I think I might be able to add that relatively quickly. Yeah, just like I said, Taffy, I will forget. I'm old. I've had a couple beers tonight. Keep me honest. I'll look into it. If it's something that I can add relatively quickly, I will. As you know, if it doesn't like change a whole bunch of formatting, I'll add it. I don't mind.
All right, let me go ahead and go to Amir's question. It says regarding the sire rating that is getting updated by users to real life or to match real life. Some
Mm-hmm.
sires are overrated or
Mm-hmm.
overachieving based on the way they are being used.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be downgraded as per real life?
Uh, if it depends on how they're being used, no. I mean, if they're if we think the rating is right, it's just that they look better in the game than the rating based on how the sim population is using them. We're not going to touch the rating. Uh, what we're looking for is we're looking for particularly as players would rate. You know the trick is this, and this is kind of the way the cards have always worked, which trips a few people up is that I don't give you when you get a card and it's like between 1 and 75 and 1 and 1. Um, that's based on historical ratings in the game, which is why sometimes you'll see a card that is like a B rating and be like, that sire's not one of the 150 best sires in the world or whatever. And you're like, but he's old. He historically in the game, he's done well. He's done well enough. He's done better than most. So, so yeah, the ratings in the game, they correlate highly to the rating of the sire that we put in. They should correlate relatively highly, but they're not 1 to 1. There's going to be mismatches based on player use. There's also going to be mismatches just on. Good example is you'll see a sire that may start out at $5,000, and then he keeps proving himself, and 5 years, 7 years later, he's $50,000. Well, his early crops in the game are going to be trash, and the reason is because we didn't know any more than anybody else on how that sire was going to perform. So his historical numbers wouldn't look good, but his rating is going to be higher in real life than his historical numbers would show in the game. So those numbers, though they correlate well, they're not 1 to 1. But what we would be looking for primarily are if we have a rating in the game that we say we believe this horse is this, and players come along and they change, they're saying we think as a player base the rating is here, and we thought the rating was here. We're going to see that mismatch. It's pretty easy to pretty much query on. We're going to look at the biggest mismatches, and at that point we could say, oh, we screwed this horse up. We need to bring him up. And similarly, if we have a horse way up here and you guys go, this horse isn't that good, then we're going to look at it and go, yeah, we need to bring this horse down. So it's more of the wiki additions are going to really check off, hey, you guys can do a better job here. It's a way of you guys telling us we're screwing up and being polite about it.
Yeah, I mean,
You have the weight of the game behind you. If 100 people tell us we're wrong, I mean, it's like Family Feud. You know what? If Family Feud says it's 100 people, sure, there's always like the person that gets 1 point. We don't want to be the 1 point guy. We want to be the guy that has 37 points.
yeah, basically helps us recalibrate, and
Yep,
we're not perfect. We'll be the first
no.
ones to tell you. Like, I mean, I've never personally been involved with it. I mean, minus what we did, a couple weeks ago, but it was even then that was all stuff that was already done the previous year, minus maybe Art Collector, but it was still like, hey, I know a lot of people came back and had questions about Justify and See the Stars, and in the grand scheme of things, I probably shouldn't have released that anyway, but it was tenths of a point that they decreased as opposed to like, just trying to recalibrate and get things in order. So there is a science behind it.
Go ahead, Frank.
No, I was just going to say there's a science behind it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what I try to do, and I'm not sure I did it as hard this year, but ultimately what I try to do is I look at the universe of the horses and I try to bring them all in line with one another as saying this is kind of like, I have to be careful because as we get new horses in, of course, people get excited about sires and then sires will go up, sires will go down. But then it's like I have a rating system, and even if a sire doesn't move from year to year, I try to re-rate the entire universe to put them kind of like square with one another. because I don't want to over time accidentally raise the sire ratings where they keep going up and up and up, or down and down and down. So I have kind of a baseline that goes, the average sire in the game should be here. The median sire should be here. And what I end up doing is I try to recalibrate every sire's number to get there. Generally speaking, like Frank says, is that you may see a sire get, even though we technically didn't change, I didn't change him in the game, the end of the year re-rating and to go, you have rated too many low sires this year. The universe of sires is lower than we expect that it's historically been. And in that point, it might raise the sire ratings just, like 1% or 0.1%, 0.5%. So there is a recalibration that takes place. And it's more mathematical than anything, because we don't want to see, I know, part of the thing with the way that you're going to see speed numbers increase as people get to know the game better. And you've seen that historically, but we don't want to get to the point to where the sires are so much better year after year after year to where, every horse they already run too fast in the game, but we don't want to see, we don't want to be winning claim races require 107 speed number, 112 speed number.
Right. I mean, it's funny you say that, because a lot of the questions on the forum actually revolve around, why do I need 120 to win a $5,000 claimer? And it's not that you do, it's just that somebody put a horse that good down there.
Yeah, it happens.
So
I'll tell you what, and I hate to run away. I'm not going to run away permanently, but I do have to use the restroom because I'm an old man. But I'm going to go use the restroom, and I'll be right back if that's okay. So you're in charge, Frank.
Well, don't expect much when you come back.
I'll be right back.
All right. Ivan, what's up, man? Ivan joined the chat. We got the names used to be hilarious from Corey K. Didn't make any sense. Yeah, a lot of them still don't. I think I saw. No, I won't even say that one out loud. I don't want to alert the name police and get that one on my radar. That's more work for me to do. Let's see. Taffy said, I love the names. Croft says, get creative. There's my next breeding. I like it. Ivan, Spanish characters. Like the... Yeah. Did I say that right, Ivan? Corey K. Mike, the original iteration of the game, how did you come up with the names? Were they randomly generated? Oh, I'll have to wait for Mike to come back for that. Taffy says she's going to email Docman. How does that help Taffy? I don't know what we're talking about. Donnie Baseball. Allowance or claiming, but not lifetime or date conditions in Raffy currently. Yeah, that is correct. Makes it easier to filter. For sure. Yeah, I agree with you there, Taffy. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get caught up as quick as I can while Mike is doing his business. Taffy, I can see specify conditions. Yep, that'll happen in Raffy. It sounds like you caught Mike on a good day and he's interested in doing it. So, or it might already exist someplace and it's just not turned on. That's also a possibility. N2L might spit out 0 races most of the time. I don't know about that. I have no problem finding N2Ls. Let's see. More graded races for 3-year-old fillies. Yeah, so the graded stuff is interesting, the races and what have you. We try to operate on the real life schedule. So we're not really looking to add more races. That being said,
all right,
I'll add a few here and there, for different divisions and what have you, or at least I have in the past. We're talking about the race schedule. Well, actually, before we get into the race schedule, I do have a question for you from Corey K, I believe.
Okay, and then I'm gonna give a credit giveaway.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
all right. So let me go. Where was Corey K? Where was this question? There it is. It says, in the original iteration of the game, how did you come up with the names? Were they randomly generated?
Yes. And I took verbs and nouns and a formula and I crashed them together. And that's why there was like, some of my favorites were like Can on the Candles. That was a horse. There were some terrible horses. But what I would try to do is I would try to look at words that were in sire names by and large. Not always. But it would look at like a sire. So you would see like Stormcat. He would have a lot more horses that would have Storm or Cat in the random name. There are some, I won't mention them here, but there were some pretty insulting names. Just based, I'll tell Frank after the fact, but no, there were some names that the game came up with that I had to change, and people reached out to me pretty early, like, that's pretty awful. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I created 20,000 random horse names. I didn't vet them all. I tried, but there a few got through, and yeah, there were some. It was random, but you can take two random, seemingly innocent words and put them together and come up with some horrible statements. And yeah, so that's kind of what happened. But yeah, it was just random, completely pseudo random. It would look at a pattern, noun, verb, noun, verb, noun, verb, noun, verb, take different ones, then look at the name and try to like a good. I mean, I'm trying to think of a word of a horse like Northern Dancer. You might see like I think the word Dan was in the original game, so you might see like Northern Dancer would have a lot of Dans, so it might be like Dan Quick might be a horse that you would see out of Northern Dancer because it would say, oh, well, it's got the word Dan in Dancer. So yeah, but it was random.
All right. Let me see. Let me trying to find. I thought there was another question here.
Yeah, Frank, if you ever really want to have some fun, look at all the horse names for horses. Let me see. I think 1999 or 1998 and prior in the game, and then you'll see all those original kind of random horse names, and some of them are egregious.
Yeah, no, I'm good. um, Ivan asked. He said, "Is there Spanish characters like the letter?"
There's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
and I'm
know.
not. I mean, that's
And with a squiggly on
that.
top of it because I don't know how to say
Yeah,
that.
and I think it'd be cool, honestly. But yeah, I'm not even sure that the United States Jockey Club allows those. I'm not sure if the Australian Jockey Club allows those. I'm not sure. And again, I'm not. The thing is I'm not against having them there. It really is just a matter of, I've never done it. It's not, statements like that. I guess it's a question, but it's also a statement. I mean, you know what? I'm not against having them, really, and I'll consider that. And as I work on the new version of the game, it's really just a matter of what encoding. I think everything's UTF-8 anyway, so those characters technically exist. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool, honestly.
Jono asked, "Can you add Animo to the sim? He is now at stud in Australia for
No,
122k per
no,
serve
he'll get
first
added at the
year."
end of the year. If he got added, especially that's the Australian thing that we were talking about earlier. Australia runs on a different schedule than we do, for obvious reasons because our seasons are flipped. So yeah, they have a different sire release than we do, which is how shuttling becomes a whole thing. You get the horses shuttled back and forth. So yeah, if he got added recently, especially, he'll get added at the end of the year, and that's how we try. It's not perfect, but yeah, we try to true everything up in one season when the horse racing game. We just chose United States again, because I lived here when I wrote the game, and I wasn't as aware of how Australian horse racing worked. To be honest with you, I was very ignorant to it, but also because January 1st makes a lot of sense as far as a renewal date for a game.
Works for me.
But yeah, again,
Um,
add him to the wiki,
that's
get
right.
him in there. We'll make sure he gets in there at the end of the year. I promise.
Let's see. Sam said, "In the end, you're trying to do the impossible, rate hundreds of sires with no progeny." Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not impossible. We just do a shit job at it sometimes. We try to do as good, or I do a shit job, not to throw Frank under the bus.
wait
It's
till
historically
next year
been.
at least to throw me under the bus. All right.
I can say this, and this is a thank you to everybody that historically I do have several players. ENT sends me a lot of European information, and he is fabulous at rating new sires even before they've raced. I mean, his some of his pre-ratings, he would say this horse is going to get backing, even though he's low, his price is low, he's more likely to do this, and he's shockingly good, and which is why I think that our European ratings have gotten better over the years. It's simply because of guys like that. I get a handful of Australian players that help me out a lot. Given helps me out a lot with the United States sires. Rob, uh, he helps me out a lot. I have a lot of players that do reach out and help me out immensely. So it's not I sit here and act like I'm doing something special. You know what? I just have a good player base that gives me good information. That is 90% of it, and I just try to massage it from there. I try to what is it, Happy Gilmore when Kevin Nealon's like, bring in the good, block out the bad. I just try to block out the bad information, and but everybody gives me good information, and that's why I really do think the wiki is going to be helpful, is to get more players that don't have time to type things up, but they have time to enter in a couple ratings. You know what? Enter in a rating here and there. It may not seem like a lot, but if you enter in a horse a day,
It helps us.
70. If everybody entered in one horse every day, there's what, 100 and some days left in the year. By November, we'd have everybody who put in 90 ratings. If 50 people put in 90 ratings a day, we'd have some pretty excellent extra data that we didn't have.
Yeah.
So yeah, just every little bit helps. But it's the players that do it. Yeah, but you're right, Sam. It's not easy work. The aggregating is what I have to do more than the rating. Some horses I do have to rate, because when I come across a sire that's standing in Iowa for $1,500 that nobody's giving me information on, odds are I'm going to rate him shit. But I try to look at him.
So one more thing before we do the credit giveaway. Donnie Baseball is asking if you could choose only 3 dam sires to breed a good horse, who would they be? Question
3
from
dam
Mike.
sires?
I don't know how dam sires are going to do it, but
yeah,
let's just go with pick 3 sires and let's call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think Stormcat's still a dam sire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so got to go with Stormcat. In real life, I think Stormcat's fragile. I wouldn't breed as I've got other better options in real life, but yeah, you can't go wrong with Stormcat, Galileo, and you can't go wrong with Tappet.
There you
Stick
go.
with Tappet. Tappet comes up all the time, so I would be honest with you. I may even have some horses rated better than those horses, as far as they couldn't be much better. I mean, once you get up to the top, you're literally like splitting hairs. You're talking, you're trying to rate, the difference between, Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, you could make an argument for Wilt Chamberlain. I know people would argue Michael Jordan, but I'm telling you, Wilt Chamberlain was a badass.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, splitting hairs, right? It's literally fractional points as you get that high. So
yeah, you couldn't go wrong with any of those.
So there you go. You heard it here first. Tappet, Galileo, and Stormcat. So go ahead and blow up the ticker, everybody.
I think it's already blown up.
No,
I don't think you're gonna add any blowing up to that ticker with them horses.
That was my sarcasm there. Let's see. Document said, I find it can be tough to find races for horses, so more N2L carded would be better than making searching for them easier. It's a race scheduler thing. I'll let you talk on that because I haven't fully seen all the code on the race scheduler.
Yeah, the race schedule is tough. And this goes down to kind of what we were talking about, even just hold on, somebody's ringing my doorbell. Hold on. Sorry.
No, that's all good.
I'll be back.
No worries. Damn, it's late. I guess it's like 8:45. Let's see. Sam says, keep in mind, Donnie Mike has admitted that he isn't very good at the game. Yeah, no, he's told me that too. Can we get more sprint race for 3-year-old and over? Pretty good pronunciation. Thanks, Ivan. That made me feel good. I'm sure that made my my stepdad proud. My stepdad has this huge, heavy Colombian accent, so anytime I say anything remotely Spanish, he makes fun of me.
Sorry about that. But yeah, I'll get back to that unless you were in the middle of
something.
No.
I'll get back to we were talking about how I say Spanish words sometimes, not so American.
Oh, fair enough. I say Spanish words sometimes too, but it's usually when I'm in a Mexican restaurant. But my son just our front door has an automatic door, like one of those little number pad things, and it's shit in the bed. So yeah, he tried to enter and it didn't open the door, so he's all lathered up, which he should be because it's frustrating as shit. So he was blowing up the doorbell. Sorry about that. Anyway, as far as race schedule, this is one of those situations where it does get it gets difficult. I try to look at, the schedule is tough because there are so many permutations that can go in. I mean, you're talking age, you're talking season, when it is in the year, which is going to change 3 or 4-year-old, 3 plus, 4 plus. You're talking distance, you're talking surface, you're talking, sex. You're talking a lot, there's a lot of different permutations. You start rolling them out, it becomes difficult to really cover a universe. And real books have it, like people who create the books have trouble with this. It's not just game specific. I try, and I know this is not a perfect answer. I try to alleviate some of that. First off, popular races. I try to book more races that have more. I try to rebook races that were full, and as such, uh, you'll see races split now, which wasn't always the case. So as far as like if one race exists, technically 100 races could exist for that race. So even if you only see one maiden race, and it got enough race entries, it's going to split into 17, 20. You see that especially at the beginning of the season. As far as how do you resolve that? And I know that I'm not sitting here. I try
Oops.
not to be the guy that's pounding for money. If you book it far enough out, it's like 25 credits. I think buys you just about 25 to 30 credits buys you anything in the game. And and that being said, is I'm not against relooking at a race scheduler and trying to make it better over time. But it is one of those. There's so many permutations that go into it. It's hard to cover every permutation that can exist, and ultimately, race your horse where you think it's competitive. If it's not a perfect condition, not all horses find the perfect condition, and at the same time, if get horses that fill your stable if you can, even at the auction. And I know I love the auction, so I love getting a horse out of the auction and running them in the right place. It's one of my favorite parts of the game, running them in claim races where nobody will claim them when I get a bunch of points. Look for horses that have a lot of condition races, and you can find holes in the race card. I mean, play it to your advantage when you can. But yeah, I will try to improve those race books over time. And I've tried in the past. I think I do a better job than I've done historically because I do try to look at back carding better than I've done. But I'll agree with you. It's kind of like, it's self-fulfilling. If there aren't enough races and people don't book more races, it won't book those races as often. So yeah, it's a holes begat holes to some degree. But yeah, I'll at least look into it long term.
So it's dynamic.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go ahead and let's see. Dockman said, Dockman's throwing me under the bus here. Frank said in a previous answer that shuttling does not affect the sire's ability. Constitution costs 110K in the U.S., so it must be highly rated, but shuttles to Chile. So why would any breed in Kentucky in the game?
I don't know. I mean, like when you're saying as far as like why would you choose a Kentucky tag for your horse? Yeah, is that what you? But is that kind
I
of the
think that's.
question?
I think the gist of the question is there's less competition in
Yeah,
Chile. Why wouldn't you just breed it in Chile?
that's exactly what you should do. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure. By and large, at least in the game doesn't penalize you. I would say this. I guess if you, I think doesn't the game now there, and again, you might know this better than me, Frank, because this is something I think I added. The game always lets you ship back to your breeding location free, right? Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you like to race on that circuit versus the Chilean circuit, then yeah, if it lets you get home, then yeah, I could see breeding in Kentucky. Otherwise, 100% agree with you. If you breed to the lowest, I would say this, and I don't think this is in the game. I don't think you'll see a horse that shuttles from Kentucky to Indiana. But if you did, you'd always be better off taking Indiana because you get back to the same circuit for free.
Right.
So yeah, it's a no, but I agree with you. I mean, that's a game element. Play within the way that you want to play the game, and I 100% agree. That's as a person that the way I play the game, and I don't get to play it as often as I used to, and I try not to play it too serious anyway. I don't want to be the guy just like, hey, Mike wins again. But and honestly, there's so many players that play this game better than me. When I've tried to play it seriously, you guys put me in the dirt. It's kind of unfortunate. But
I play it seriously, and I've seen the code, and I get my ass beat. So there you go.
I wrote the code, and I get my ass beat. I mean, yeah, there's some great players in this game. You guys really, you guys do really a great job. But yeah, the way I've historically played the game, if I were given an option, would you choose a Chilean tag versus a Kentucky tag? I'd choose a Chilean tag every day of the week.
Cody says you can't add info on the wiki on a mobile device.
That might be true.
It's probably the website. To be honest with you, the website's not really mobile friendly.
Hey, now it's not. And the website was written. I again, hindsight's 2020. I was learning that stuff. I didn't do a great job. I did as good a job as I could given my limitations. I did try hard. But
Wasn't good
it
enough,
does.
Mike. It wasn't good enough.
It's
No, I'm just kidding.
it's not good enough for 11 years later, that's for sure.
I'm just
But
playing.
no, I agree with you. There's the code, that site needs to be rewritten, everything. There's so many things that need to be rewritten to do it. And ultimately, it's like I'm telling Frank, and this is why you see Frank in the game. And I'd love to have another Frank. I'd love to have, we've had Larry for years, who's, love Larry. I mean, we have a lot of, Frank brings a different element than Larry. I mean, he brings a coding and a technical element that, as much as I love Larry, I mean, Larry is not bringing. Just the way it is, but I love Larry to death. You're not going to hear me say a bad word about Larry, but he's not a technical guy. But I'd love to have more people that I can lay some things off on, that I've got some trust with, and that are willing to put in some effort to turn this game. Frank and I talk about this, not to bring the mood down. Ultimately, I'd love if you guys wanted to muscle me out of the game because you wanted to. It's like, hey, Mike's gone, that's fine. Ultimately, I'm 50, man. I've been doing this 25 years. I'd love to see help people. I'd love to have more people that have the ability to pick this up if something were to happen to me. So yeah, I'm just think it's great. I love Frank. So love Larry, love Frank, and we'll bring in more of you. Spin, of course, does a great job with the Black Tie Bueller. So I'm not gonna, thank you for that, Spin. And
Next,
Roxy Ken.
Yep.
Yeah, Roxy.
Everybody. So I got to read this comment. How many more credits do I need to buy so that the quality of beer Frank drinks improves? So you're the second person to shit on me for that. The other person is on this call with me right now. And they were buy one, get one at Winn-Dixie. So I took advantage of it. I took advantage of it. It was either buy a 12 pack for $15 or buy 2 6s for 11. So I used the old noggin and, took advantage.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see. Where do we leave off?
I'm gonna do a credit giveaway real quick.
Oh, that's right.
We don't have to end the call, but I want to do a credit giveaway.
Let's go ahead and do the credit giveaway.
Okay, credit giveaway. First person that answers this question.
Ooh, get your fingers ready, chat.
Okay. Can everyone see my room?
Yes.
SpongeBob, Squidward drew this picture. What's the name of the picture in the SpongeBob episode? It has a name. It was in an art gallery, or he called it. What is the name of this picture?
Here we go. Let's see what folks come up with. How many credits?
No idea. Look it up. I just put in Squidward artwork, SpongeBob. It'll probably pop up, and you will get a video of where's.
Oh, we got one answer.
No. And when he released it, when he showed the guy at the art gallery, the art gallery said "belongs in the trash," which rhymes with the name of this picture.
Maddie, that was good. Taffy says bold and
Super
brash.
Taffy, she got it. Bold and brash.
All right.
Belongs in the trash. So yes.
Let's see. What are we giving Super Taffy?
1,000 credits.
All right. So plus 1,000 for Super Taffy. There we go. All right.
Bold and brash.
Winner, chicken dinner. All right. Let's see. Cody said, I had the idea that if you purchase a race and it splits, you get half the cost of the race back. That way players can help fill the holes from the scheduler.
You get half. That's not a bad idea. I'm not against it. Yeah, again, it's not that way and currently, but I mean, that actually makes some sense yeah, I'm trying to think of how hard that would even be to add before. You know what? I need to have a list because I know Taffy had a couple of great ideas, and that's not a bad idea. Thing is
I got it.
Like I said, yeah, okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, ideas that help the game. I'm really, I'm not out here. I promise, I'm not trying to squeeze dollars out by going just fucking purchase. Pardon my French. Just purchase more races. And that's not my goal. It's like I really do want the game to be better, and ultimately, at the end of the day, the players make the game better. And if I'm missing something and you guys can add value to the game, and you can do that by adding races that the game is missing. And I love that idea. I've never even thought of that. I mean, that's why, that's why I'm really excited to do these kind of chats and talk to you guys, is because, I'm old and I don't always think of good smart things. So yeah, I mean that's not a bad idea at all, and I'd have to put a little more thought around it, but I like the concept behind that. I'll put it that way. So yeah, I'll consider it. I'll highly consider it.
All right. Jono. Oh, that was at Rob. Let me see. Rob says he's at your house, Mike, so you might want to open your front door. Uh,
It's
uh,
raining here. He's getting wet as shit.
Docman says the trivia question should have been how much money I lost with Baffert's steroid horse winning the Derby over Mandaloon. We'll
Yeah.
leave that one alone.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah, the
see.
Baffert lovers are all upset that Churchill's still not letting him in. I'm just gonna say I've got I don't know enough about the situation except I'm pretty sure that he's been doing this for a hot minute. We'll just put it that way. You don't get a silver buck to run like fucking Silver Charm did. He's one of my favorite horses, but that's not logical.
Yeah. Ivan says, I'll be 55 next year. Do I get a senior citizen discount for credits in breeding?
Oh, that's a statement. That's a question. So yeah, sadly, I think most of the game is old. So I had to give everybody one, except Taffy. I think she's still at 15.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Taffy's my age. So I think we're the same month, I think. I think I might be a week older than her. Let's see. Docman, that's why Baffert stud horses should not be rated highly moving forward. Well, you can't really say that. Justify was a Baffert stud horse, right? And he just knocked out a grade one winner this off on the turf nonetheless this weekend. So, Rachel, you're 36.
I'm glad to know there's some younger people in the game. I thought everybody in the game was like in their 50s. So I'm glad. I know except Taffy. I know she's young. But yeah, it's refreshing to see that there's still some people that are coming into the sport a little bit younger. When I say younger, I mean I guess 30s is not that young. But
You ain't 27, Rob. Who are you fooling? You son of a bitch. LBC Cody says he's 39. Corey K says he's 40. All right. All right.
making me feel like is any okay. I did. Who was 55? Somebody was older than me in this
Ivan.
chat. There. Yeah. Ivana Mill. Yeah, Ivan. He's 55. All right, 44. Sorry, not to yeah. When you can start getting our
There it
age,
is.
Ivan, every minute counts, buddy.
Age, sex, location from LBC Cody. Those are the old school AOL chat days. Oh, Dragnell's 55.
Okay.
Maddie's 57. Sam is 53. Oh, man, listen.
Right.
Look at this.
Starting to feel like a spring chicken suddenly.
Jono's 53. 3 kids, 2 grandkids. Fook. I feel old. I like the Fook. Oh, Docman, 54 with a 7-year-old son. So I'm a dad and an older brother. Whisper, 66.
How did that happen? That's crazy. I give you credit because I'm 51 and my youngest is 18 and I'm like I couldn't keep up. It's got to be tough, man.
I'm fucking 38 and my 4-year-old is driving me bananas. So, Rob, feel
Skippy
young here at
62.
48. There we go. Skippy 62. All right.
Cool.
Taffy has a 9-month-old.
Wow, we are getting old, man. Like we said, Taffy was here when she was 13. This is crazy.
Next is the same age as King AB.
Well, that means you're older than shit.
I
I love Larry, man.
Larry's awesome.
I love everybody. I just
Croft.
love y'all.
Croft says some things need to remain a mystery. Plus, I've been lying about my age for 20 years. I forget. And gonna have a thong on. There it is. The thong made its way back. I'm gonna get the Derby Fever thong, and we'll roll it out. on
You
a
know what? That's the
handstand.
thing with like some of these sites like Next Bubble and shit is I'll list a Derby Fever thong. If somebody wants to buy it, I'll sell. Well, I won't sell it to you. They'll sell it to you.
Listen, if we sell Derby Fever thongs, that I need a list of who's buying them so that I can give extra credits.
No, you don't.
No, so I
You
can give
don't- you
extra
don't.
credits. Not I don't want to know what the hell they're doing with them. I just gonna give you credits. That's it. I just want to give you more credits for supporting the game. That's all.
Oh, Not a
Oh
good story.
god, we got Sam says we used to joke that we put Mia through college buying credits. So I have to ask, is Mia a college graduate?
Not yet. She's going to a junior year. So but yeah, she's at Tennessee Knoxville, and she's actually in Italy right now, which is why we went overseas. That's why we chose the time we did. She's studying abroad for a month. And yeah, she's living her best life, man. She's having a great time. So yeah, she's yeah, you don't get to hear or see much about her anymore, but she's having a great time. She is in college. My son Ben he'll be a senior in high school this upcoming year, and he'll be in college after that. And then hopefully I can save a few dollars after that. We'll see.
In due time, right? Let's see. Ivan says 54 with a 6-year-old that has more energy than a van of Energizer bunnies. Oh man. Amir is 34. Oh man, you're the baby in
Well,
the
that's how
group.
I was able to get up this early. Because
I was
if he
gonna
were my
say.
age, of course, if he were my age, he'd already be up. I sleep like dog shit. I used to sleep like a baby. I sleep like shit now.
Oh yeah, same here. Well, that's what my 4-year-old always finds his way into my room. So
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a good night's sleep in 4 years.
Do you have
Uh,
any pets, Frank?
I have a dog. His name is Gronk.
I, yeah, I don't have any animals. So yeah, I know that a lot of people like they say cats will like climb on their face in the middle of the night and shit. I ain't got to worry about that.
No,
I do have guinea pigs.
my dog is pretty well trained. He doesn't he knows not to get on the bed or anything like that. He hasn't quite figured out, don't shit in the kitchen, but he knows not to get on the bed. So,
Yeah, I'm still working on that with my son.
oh man, rails are starting to come off. We got Docman says, "Is Mike in Kentucky? Where's Frank? You are in Kentucky, right?
I am in Tennessee, but I'm actually originally, yeah, I grew up in Kentucky. Yeah. So Louisville, Kentucky, lived there until I was 43, 44, 40, yeah, 44, I believe, 43, one of the two. But then I moved to just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I've been here for about 8 years, a little over 8 years, actually.
And I am in Florida. I pretty much lived in South Florida almost my entire life, but I just recently moved up to Central Florida, so a little bit further north of Tampa is where I'm at. Docman said me as a junior.
Mhm.
Can we see a picture of her as the default?
She used to be all over the game. I think her face was like my when I had a picture on my stable name. I think there was a picture of her. So yeah, she used to be all over the place. I need to find a picture of her. You could yeah, there's a picture of her from high school if you want to Google up Mia Wallace. I don't think that'll tell you too much. Mia Wallace, Independence High School, Thompson Station. She scored, not to brag on my daughter now, but she scored a perfect score on the ACT a couple years ago, and there are 5 people that scored a perfect ACT score. I think from the I don't know if it's from the county or from the school. I think it may have just been the school. But yeah, there's 5 people, and she's one of the ones. She's the one. She's the one with pink hair.
Oh, I think I got her.
If there's 5 pictures and there's a girl with pink hair, that's her.
Yep, it looks like her. Hold on, let me. If not, we're just showing some random broad. Independence High, valedictorian, Mia Wallace. Is that it?
That would be it.
There you go. There's Miss Mia. Very
Actually,
nice.
she doesn't even have pink hair there. I don't. That's a different one. I've never even seen this article, Frank.
Well,
That's
there you
her.
go. Well, I'll send it to you so you can read it.
Yeah, it's yeah, she was valedictorian, and she also scored perfect on the ACT, which is why I knew she was in the paper. So got her a scholarship to UTK. I mean, we still pay for room and board, but it helped. So it
Yeah,
helped. And then Sam
absolutely.
helped too. So thank you, Sam.
Yeah, the credits. Let's see. There were. Next says he remembers when you were single.
He does. He does. Where shit.
Ivan says the only animal here at home is chatting at the moment. Dragnell says he's in Tennessee now near Knoxville.
Oh,
I
really?
Yeah. Ivan has a brother in Clarksville.
So where you at, Drag? And now, Dragnell, are you? Do you live around Knoxville, or is you just there temporarily?
Let's see. Dockman, Nice Mike, Smart Kid, Franker Junior, Safety Harbor. Not really. Like Safety Harbor is kind of like off the bay
Oh, Pigeon Forge sucks, Dogman. Don't go
by
there.
by
That's awful.
Clearwater. I'm like 45 minutes north of that, maybe a little bit more.
Oh, you live there. Okay, cool. Cool. Shit. Yeah. You know what? I'm in Knoxville. I'll be in Knoxville soon. I mean, if you want to swing over to Knoxville, we've got to move Mia. She is in one apartment right now. We've got to move her to another. Yeah, let's stay in touch. Yeah, and if you want, I'll grab a beer with you in Knoxville here in a few weeks or in a month or so. And it doesn't have to be beer; it could just be water or whatever you choose to partake in. But me, I'll partake in a beer.
Dragnell is our he's our South African sire
Oh
expert.
yeah, yeah.
He's the one who's been dropping in all the ratings on the wiki.
Hmm.
We've been
Oh yeah,
following
we go
you.
way back.
Well, I've been following you, Dragnell. So, let's see. Next says his daughter is a
Neither scotch
nurse.
nor cigars, man. I don't take to the hard stuff. It does not agree with me at all. And I'm also a smoke. Yeah, yeah. No, I'll leave the. You can have all the scotch and cigars. I'll just drink this cheap shit.
We got to do a sim get together / reunion where we pick a state and everybody shows up, or a country for that matter.
I'm
So
not sure anybody here was at the old. We used to get together for the Derby, and we've gotten together in the past for a couple of Breeders' Cups.
they were
But
talking
I
about
don't.
that earlier today. Actually, I think Padre was talking about that earlier today.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah, we've done that. They used to be, that was the thing. The Kentucky Derby used to get a lot of people from the sim, and then we stopped getting so many, and it's just, I think that people stopped traveling. Derby got expensive. Derby was always ish expensive, but it just kept going up. And
Yeah, even if we just do it on a bullshit day, just a day at the track where there's a bunch of tracks going, we go to a busy one, and that's the way it works. Whoever wants to go shows up, and it's field trip. Everybody gets their permission slip signed, and we get out there.
yeah, Corey's in Louisville. I'm sure I'll be in Louisville soon. So yeah, if you want to catch lunch or something, I've got not to bring the mood down, but I have two elderly parents that I visit on the regular. So just because.
There you go.
But yeah, you wanna catch lunch or something, man. It's I love my parents, but I can end up having to make a day of it or 2 days. So yeah, it's as much as I love my parents, it's you can only do so much parenting, and you need a break. So but yeah, if you want to catch lunch or dinner, man, I'd love to do it.
Spin says Saratoga. I'm down for Saratoga. I've never been to Saratoga before.
Going back to what are you working on, Cody? You going back to school at Kentucky? What's your major? Just curious. You ain't got to tell me if you don't want to. I'm just more curious than anything. But no, that's cool. Yeah. Lexington's not too far away. Lexington and Louisville are pretty close. I think they're within an hour of one another, so it's not too bad. I never went to Lexington a lot. I was a Louisville boy. I didn't get out much. So
Hey, don't worry about it, Cody. I just graduated with my master's at 37, so got to get back in there and do your
what'd you
thing.
get your master's in, Frank?
Information technology.
Did you learn more about computers? Fucking that's what Stack Overflow's for, bitch.
You're absolutely right, but at least now I have it on paper. So
Fair enough.
finishing your bachelor's in a year and going to PA school.
What's a PA school?
Yeah, you have to spell that out for both of us. We're too
Yeah,
too
we're
drunk.
we're idiots, man.
Yep. Just a couple of dumb dummies.
Dumb dummy.
Dumb dummies.
You couldn't have literally spelled it out better.
No,
than
I
dumb
had
dummies.
another word loaded up, but then I was like, nope,
Oh, okay,
let me
physical
not say
assistant.
that.
Got it. Cool.
Oh,
Congratulations, man.
I've seen a lot
That'd
of
be fun.
physical assistants.
It's a great
over the
career,
years.
from what I understand.
Thanks,
I could
Ben.
be wrong.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I
Congrats,
actually
Frank.
yeah for my master's because I didn't get it on Stack Overflow.
Yeah, I've never formally taken a computer class in my life, which should scare everyone here probably, but no.
If you've seen the code, you would know.
I've gotten better over the years, I promise you.
No, it's not bad. It's good. It's not bad. I like busting your chops. That's one of the few things I can bust your chops on. So
No, that VB code is bad. It really, I mean, it's the stuff of ASP Classic code is not good either. But the SQL code's gotten good, which is really at the end of the day, that's where the data lives, and the data, data is your money at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
really is, I made sure that the race code did what it was supposed to, but the data has to be accurate and it has to be timely. And, it's I spent my time on making sure that the data was right. So
Well, you did a damn good job, in my opinion. At least from everything I've seen. So,
I
um,
appreciate it.
fun fact about me: I actually started school when I was like 22, and I was going to. I started with sports medicine, so I
Okay.
had, uh, you know, thoughts of grandeur of being a doctor at some point, a sports medicine doctor, and that got derailed real quick. So dissected a pig, and I was like, all right, that's enough.
But yeah, yeah, I mean that's the funny thing about computers is you ain't gotta they gotta be where you start. It's where you end up. Is like a guy I work with now. He's my manager now, but I actually hired him because I quit my job back in 2021, I think, and then I kind of rewrote parts of the game. And now I'm back at that same job doing contract work. But I hired him and he is a minister, believe it or not. He like went to he like doesn't have a formal college degree outside of ministry, and one of the most talented coders I've seen. Just he knows like four languages, and he's like codes, but he doesn't even have a college degree. And you'd think, but no, guy's brilliant. I mean, he really is one of the smartest people I've ever met. So yeah, it's not where yeah, that education, formal education, only goes so far, man.
You're right. In my experience, um, well, experience trumps all is basically what I was going to say. So using experience
Yeah.
twice in a sentence there. But yeah, experience is the end all be all. That's how I look at it. So somebody has a very unique comment here. It says Pulp Fiction came out in 1994. Is Mia Wallace a coincidence or purposeful?
Both. I would say this. It's funny because my son's name is Ben Wallace, and if you follow professional basketball, there is a Ben Wallace. It's just how so happens to be that Wallace is a relatively common last name.
Detroit
It's not
Pistons.
as common as like Smith or Jones, but it's more common than you would think. That being said, well, Mike Wallace. I mean, there's a newscaster named Mike Wallace. There's been a race car driver named Mike Wallace. There's been a baseball pitcher named Mike Wallace. There's been a wide receiver named Mike Wallace. So yeah, it's great because I'm hard as shit to Google, which is awesome. But as far as Mia Wallace, I would say this: it was floated when we found out that we were having a girl. I floated it because I thought it was a cool name, and my wife is she is from Italian heritage. We actually went back. That part of the reason we went to Italy is because her went to where her grandfather was from, and this time Lucca, Italy. So we went there. But yeah, I floated the name Mia, and her being Italian, she's like, I love it. So I was like, let's do it. So yeah, Mia Wallace we were aware of Mia Wallace from Pulp Fiction. It was just, did it inspire the name? It didn't hurt. Was it
Happy
100%
coincidence.
the reason why we did it? No.
Oh God. All right. So let's see. We have same Frank. I couldn't pass the biology course for majors. No doctor dream for me. Yeah. Yeah. I just as much as I enjoyed it, I kind of fell out of it, and I went and worked a bunch of crazy jobs. That I won't get into here.
Have we been on here 2.5 hours almost?
We have.
We probably ought to wrap this up then.
I
And I
agree.
love this. I mean, I could do this all night, but I'm sure Frank wants to get to bed. And I'm sure you guys do too. We'll do this again soon, though. I promise. But
Absolutely.
yeah, let's put a time limit on this. Just so we'll say it's 9:20. How about we wrap up at 9:25?
That works for me.
Okay.
So we got
So yeah, if
5 minutes.
anybody has any other questions, fire away. But we'll try to do this again relatively soon. I've had a good time, and thank you guys for not. I was afraid I was going to get jumped with a whole bunch of like, you know, hate mail and just.
I
But
try
you
to
guys
tell him,
been
guys. I try to tell him he's a rock star and that you guys love him, but he's so modest. He thought that he thought it was gonna be nothing but why didn't you add this? Why don't you add that?
And I will say this is like I do appreciate your patience. I do realize that things can go slow in the game, and it is a lot of just they used to go faster when I was younger. I'm old, man. I'm slow. I've got a family. I've got shit to do. I get tired. And, I just got to recharge. Burnout's a real thing. Sometimes I've burnt out. I burnt out pretty bad on code after we rewrote the original or the second version of the game in 2012. I burnt out pretty hard. I tried not to code for like 6 months. I coded like necessary things, but I didn't add anything because I mean it's trying to work on the game. It's I try to make it safe. I try to make it where there's not too many, especially security issues. I mean, I find security to be very important, and so I try to take that stuff really seriously, and I really focus on that. Even though hopefully, we will never have a security issue. They are real, and hackers exist, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I appreciate you guys with your patience. I want to give you more, and hopefully Frank, having him on board, he's learning the ropes, and he knows how to do the shit. It's just a matter of him parsing through my shit code to figure it out. But we'll get there, man. So I'll just put it.
Just
that
remember,
way.
y'all, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That's it. So we'll get there eventually, and just takes time.
If you ain't first, you're last.
That's true. That's it right there. If you ain't first, you're last. All right, y'all. So we appreciate everybody joining tonight. Thank you all again. Keep an eye on your accounts. I'll be shooting some credits over. Taffy, you earned an extra 1,000, so you'll probably get more than everybody else. Ha ha, everyone else. But yeah, man, thanks again.
Next time I come on here, I'll come up with another crazy trivia question. So just be aware, it's not going to be a horse racing game trivia question. It's going to be something stupid.
Ivan has one last question. It says, I have wanted to ask since 2000, how do I explain to my family that my hobby is seeing horses run in a computer simulation and that they understand it? You are on your own there, buddy.
I would say this, and I've used this previously, okay? So I'm kind of stealing this from myself. You know what? Everybody has their own entertainment, okay? When you explain to somebody, what did you do today? I went to a room and I watched on a big screen something fake happen for an hour and a half that didn't happen, but I loved it. How much did it cost you? $10. Well, why'd you spend $10 to do that? That's not stupid. But you know what? Movies are entertainment. This is entertainment. Everybody has their own form of entertainment. You don't have to feel too bad about, my theory is that, everybody's driven by something. Everybody has their own, there's niche segments, man. It's like, not everybody likes the same movie. Not everybody likes the same TV show. Not everybody likes the same form of entertainment in general. Some people like to sew. Some people like to play guitar. You enjoy what you enjoy. So yeah, it's just say this is my hobby. This is my, I prefer this over watching TV for an hour and a half. Just lean into it.
I'm reading the Slack chat. There's a funny conversation going on there. So if you're not in the Slack chat, jump into the Slack chat because
what's it saying?
Beer Keg and who is that? Croft are having an interesting conversation. It says Beer Keg said I had to pause the Twitch. Why is everyone messaging their ages? Croft responded with, "That's our way of putting our car keys in the bowl at the front door." And then it just kind of went from there. So. All right, but we're going to go ahead and end it there, guys. Thank you all again for joining us. Much appreciated. We'll try to keep this. We'll rein it in a little bit better next time so that we don't go 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and as well as is if you'd like, Frank and I, and this I'll put this onus on me, is that I'll try to come up with a future roadmap of some sort as far as like order of operations on what we would like to attack. Short term, medium term, long term, and so at least where my head is, and you guys can pick my brain and tell me if you agree, disagree, because ultimately at the end of the day, I want to do what's right by you guys. I want to do what you guys want in the game, but I also want to do what is best by you guys. And it's some of that is going to be redundancy and making sure that safety nets exist if things happen. So, but we'll get there, and I'll come up with a roadmap.
Oh man. Yep. And listen, we have somewhat of a roadmap, right? Because we've talked about it a little bit. So again, architecture is always going to be number one, structural integrity. And then, you know, obviously the mayor leasing is pretty much the first thing on the radar, followed by jockey feedback. So
Yeah.
when we get there, and we will, it's
Yeah.
just going to take,
And
like
we
I
might
said,
jump the mayor leasing over top of the integrity, is because I've been promising that for a while. But when I say integrity, is I'm talking like the rewrite of the race code. That's 1 and 1A. Just because I want to give you guys a new feature this year, I always feel like I ought to give you a new feature every year. So that would be a new feature, and then from the integrity, from the rewriting the race code, we'll get there too. I don't think that's going to be hard once I get, I've rewritten it. I just need to audit it.
yeah, that's
So
the tough part.
hopefully
That's
it'll
the
be
time consuming part right there is
Yeah.
auditing. So
Yeah.
but all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and end it there. Thank you all again for joining, and be on the lookout for your accounts. I'll drop some credits in there for you if you participated here tonight. And we appreciate y'all. Appreciate all the questions and the contact. Have a good night.
Thank you. Love you.